Okay, we are live. Only a little bit early, but we are pretty excited here.
Definitely, definitely. This is a historic moment when four of the top five players of the chess world will be facing each other here in the Pro Chess League online on Chess.com. Danny, this is the day.
It is the day for the Pro Chess League today for sure. Obviously, the biggest news of all: Magnus Carlsen making his debut for the Norway Gnomes. They kind of needed him. Not that they've been doing
Definitely.
terribly, but they're in the middle of the pack in their division, and I think today's the day they hope to right the ship. Obviously, I'm going to show real quickly the standings, showing that the Gnomes are not exactly where they want to be, but
No, this is really bad for the gnomes. Actually, they are on a 50% with 3 rounds to go. So today and 2 more matches, and that's it. If they don't qualify for the playoffs, they cannot win the Pro Chess League.
absolutely. And the leader of their division right now is the Delhi Dynamite, and we'll see if they can right the ship here. I think they still have time, but with Magnus Carlsen making his debut, the only issue is that it's not going to be a walk in the park for him today. Along with Magnus Carlsen is Fabiano Caruana making his debut for the ChessBrahs. So we're gonna have a huge matchup. This is as big as it gets in regards to an online chess match, and these are probably, I guess I can't say the two best players in the world, because likely the person that would have something to say about that right now is the hottest chess player on the planet, at least as far as 2017 goes, and that's Wesley So. Not only did he just come off winning the Tata Steel chess tournament, he followed that up by going 4-0 last week in the Pro Chess League, and this week he's facing off against the Marseille Migraines, so he'll be playing against Maxime Vachier-Lagrave's team, and that's also going to be a huge matchup.
Definitely, both Maxime and Wesley, they have been playing for their teams regularly. Actually, Wesley only missed the match when he was winning White on Day, so that's a good excuse for not playing the Pro Chess
Right.
League, winning his third super tournament.
Yeah, we can forgive him for that. Obviously, winning the Tata Steel chess tournament may be slightly more important, but the impressive play for Wesley So continues. And right now, I just want to highlight for everybody. Of course, there's some other matches getting started first. As we check over on the standings table, there's a lot going on today. There's matches between the Montreal Sopranos and the Mumbai Movers. We'll see Grandmaster Robert Hess, Grandmaster Alex Lenderman. Though that match will get started very, very soon here. And there's also some other big matches, but highlighting for you right here is just the biggest matchups that once they get started, we will have probably nothing else to talk about but Fabiano Caruana and Magnus Carlsen facing off. And then, of course, we also will have the St. Louis Archbishops going up against the Migraines here, with the biggest matchup there being MVL versus Wesley So. So how else can we get people hyped up for these matchups? I don't really know, but let's go through who some of the top players are that will also be playing today, not just the top four players in the world between Carlsen, Caruana, MVL, and So, Anna. But here, of course, we have Alexander Lenderman, who's been playing very well for the Montclair Sopranos. Also making his, not a debut, but also playing today for the Dallas Destiny is the young rising American star Jeffrey Zhang, who has also been playing incredibly well. Not quite as hot as Wesley So if you're talking about the best American right now, but right up there.
He's
Then we
definitely
have
the
to
future for the
go ahead.
Olympic team. He almost won the Tata Steel B group. So Jeffrey is definitely somebody we need to watch out for. He's only 16.
Yeah, he's and as you said, along with Wesley So, he was one of the top performers there in Tata Steel. Linear Dominguez Perez, of course, everyone knows him as Sebastian on Chess.com. He's one of the top grandmasters playing today. Loke Van Wheelie, always got to mention King Loke. He'll be playing for the Amsterdam Mosquitoes, so that should be fun. But then, of course, we have the biggest names, as already mentioned, MBL, Wesley So. Now, let's give a quick shout out to the managers of these teams, Eric Hansen and Jan Ludvig Hammer, respectively for the ChessBrahs and for the Norway Gnomes. They're not the biggest names playing today for their teams, but Hansen and Hammer have been really behind making this matchup happen, really pushing their top stars, Caruana and Carlsen, to get off the bench and to help their teams. So I think Hansen and Hammer also may have something to say about these matches, Anna, before it's all said and done today, considering, remember the format, all play all, right? So Carlsen will have to play against Eric Hansen of the ChessBrahs today. Maybe
Definitely.
Hansen pulls an
and
upset,
they also
right?
face board 4, so as you said, all play all, 15 minutes plus 2-second increments, so there can be upsets. There have been upsets already, so I'm looking forward to some mistakes from these top stars.
Yeah, and I think we are just getting some games underway here. Just confirming with my team here that matches are beginning, and that we will be looking to start to get into the chess, Anna, enough pregame. But again, everybody, if you're just joining us and you haven't heard the news, this is it. Today is Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana making their debut, and we will be rocking and rolling here, covering those games. So let's jump into the chess here, Anna. I think we have some matchups that are getting started.
Yes, the first match is between Patagonia Penguins against the Shymkent Nomads.
Yeah, and so we will let's bring up some of those games. I see a few of them have gotten started here. Right now we have Grandmaster Kubrick, who everyone knows as Robert Hungoski, playing the black pieces, versus Abil Mansurp Abitakar. I'm sorry, I wasn't ready to say that name. You caught me.
It's okay, Danny. This is your debut, so you can make a few flows.
That's right. It's also my debut. I haven't been lucky enough. You and Lawrence have been holding it down. All the Pro Chess League hosts have been holding it down, but I couldn't sit on the sidelines today. I had an open Saturday, and Magnus was playing. I had to jump in.
I can understand you. I can understand you completely. Everybody wanted to commentate today.
So we have this game here between Robert Hungoski.
So knight takes e4. What was this opening?
The opening to start was f5. So this is rare, obviously at this level, but definitely a line that's going to lead to some very tricky tactics very quickly, right? White goes right after Hungoski here, the lower rated underdog here, plays the sharpest variation. This move e4 is a very principled move, everybody, to try to pry open the light squares against the king on e8. So this is not just a crazy wild gambit. This is exactly what White looks to do in a lot of positions. Okay, so Hungoski plays knight takes e4. Anna, this is going to likely just head into not quite as dangerous of a position for Black if the queens come off the board, but White isn't interested in that.
White did give a check on h5 and then queen e5. This is going to be really sharp. Look at that position.
This is
Bishop
exciting.
c4.
This is a good one to get started with, because
Yeah,
who knows,
definitely.
maybe we see the Grandmaster get checkmated with Black early in the game.
Wow, it's almost 500 rating points, the difference. And the position, I really like White here. I don't understand why this is so good for Black.
Well, I guess I don't think it's good for Black. I think this e4 line, I really like these lines when I've played White.
So he was out prepared.
Yeah, maybe White has prepared this, and I think that this is the kind of thing that White should go for, especially when you're the underdog. I think a lot of people, when playing a higher-rated player, sometimes think, oh, I'll just be solid, but really the opposite approach is what you want to take, right? Be super aggressive, bring the pressure, make it a game of tactics, and see if you can catch your higher-rated opponent blundering.
Yeah,
So,
well, now the problem is if he's forced to exchange queens. I wish we could keep the queens on the board, but after queen e2, bishop g4 is unpleasant, so he had to go for the exchange of queens.
Okay, so this is going to help Black big time. Without the queens on the board, you're not nearly as worried about the Black king on e8 or about the light square.
I was already seeing mate on e7.
And on that note, we just had a whole bunch. I was sort of waiting for some of these other games to get started, but now we have a number of other games getting started with some favorites that we know well. Here, Grandmaster Robert Hess is playing for the Montclair Sopranos. He is Black in this game. We also have, just getting started, we have Grandmaster Mark Arnold, also playing for the Montclair Sopranos. The Montclair Sopranos seem to be a gathering of young American grandmasters, right? You have Lenderman, you have Arnold, you have Robert Hess. But this is maybe a bigger, more closely contested matchup here, Anna. We have Mark Arnold versus Swapnil Dapati, and he's also a grandmaster. So this is a more evenly matchup, at least on paper, than the ones we started with between Hungoski and with Robert Hess, both being much more favored in their games.
Yes, I agree that this match is really close, and both teams are doing fine, I think. The Montclair Sopranos are shared second. And
in the standings, I will.
By movers, well, no, they badly need a win. I thought they were doing better, but no, I'm not sure they can still qualify. They only won one match and lost 3.
Who are we talking about?
The Mumbai Movers. So they badly need to win the last 3 matches and then pray that they qualify.
Yeah, no, looks like the Mumbai Movers, as you said, they're 1-3. Currently near the bottom of the division here in the Eastern Division, but the Montclair Sopranos, who you initially talked, they have the opposite record. They're 3-1.
Exactly.
And so they're performing near the top of the Atlantic Division. It looks like the Atlantic Division is going to have a very close race down the end. You have the ChessBrahs, you have the Sopranos, you have the Krakens, all poised to get a playoff berth. So that'll be an interesting race down the stretch. One of the best things about the Pro Chess League format, everyone has wondered, how will the playoffs start? Once the playoffs start, you're going to be looking at a format that's not necessarily a reseeding, but designed to make sure that these last few matches aren't officially the playoffs, but really they're going to be pairing teams against those with similar records so that everybody is fighting for their life against a team that's sort of in a similar spot as them. So hopefully that makes for some exciting matchups toward the end. All right, so back to the chess here. What's the opening we have between Arnold and Dapati? What do we have here?
That started out as an attempt for the Benoni, and then it turned into...
it was a Benoni here, but White neglecting... White chose not to play the move c4, everybody. Would have led to a more traditional Benoni-style position on move 4. But rather played the move knight to c3. This leads to a little bit more of an open game. As you see, the queen has to move early, but she's not really in the worst position. It's hard for black to make up for the positional weaknesses on the d file here, the d6 pawn. So this is interesting. I think that white has a little bit of an edge in this line, but if black can get the move d5 and open the position, sort of liquidate this potentially weak pawn on d6, and can do it in a way where it tactically works. If black can break with d5, I think that this position is not going to have too much danger for black. So we'll see what black does here. In fact, I'm looking at the position on move 11, Anna. I think d5 looks like a decent candidate move. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. He has just castled, and that means that next move could be d5. I don't think that white can really avoid this move. He has played bishop d3. He didn't have time for going for c4. That's just, you cannot play those moves being undeveloped.
Yeah, and just like that, Dapati plays the move d5. I think that makes sense. I mean, obviously, if we get a position like this, e takes d5 and queen takes d5, black is very happy, maybe even better in the middle game, as the open lines will likely belong to black before white gets them.
I agree. I would definitely take black here.
Is white going to react to d5 with e5 in that case to try to keep it closed, maybe potentially create some chances for a kingside attack?
Perhaps he should, but after e5, I'm also looking at moves like f6. I just want to try to open the position as quickly as possible with the king on e1, though it only takes one move to castle, of course, so it doesn't seem to be that bad for white, but I don't think that black has any problems. And on move 11, that's, I think, a huge improvement. It's an achievement for black.
I agree. Well, we'll see how Arnold plays. Okay, just as we say that, he decides he's not a huge fan of e5 either and captures, but maybe he'll be heading to an endgame, because after queen takes d5 here, Anna, I'd be considering a move like bishop c2 even, try to simplify the position, worried that black may end up...
You want to bail out before there's a pin on the d file.
Yeah, exactly, before black gets out of control there in the center. So let's take a quick moment. We started fast and furious. Let's remind everybody what we're doing here. This is the Pro Chess League. You can get involved in the social networking world with the hashtags you see right there above us, hashtag ProChess, hashtag ChessTV. Anna is phenomenal at keeping track of everybody shouting at us in the chat and on Twitter. So if you use the hashtag, likely Anna will see what you're saying, right?
I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat on Chess.com, also the chat on Twitch, and the hashtag ProChess as well. So yeah, I would need a few more pair of eyes, but I'm trying.
But
I'm trying.
but you'll multitask to the best of your ability. So, and you usually do a great job with that. So let's just remind everybody, get involved, give us some questions. Obviously, we're in for a long show here. We have about an hour before the big matchups of the day. To remind everybody who may just be joining us, the biggest matchups of the day are not only between MVL's team, the Migraines, and Wesley So's team, the Archbishop. These two have probably been the two most consistent super grandmasters in the Pro Chess League, just as an FYI. Obviously, everyone's very excited about Carlsen and Caruana making their debuts, but MVL and So have been much more committed to this point with their teams.
Definitely.
And
They have
so all
played
four of
almost
those
every
matchups.
match.
Sorry, say that again?
That they have played almost every match. You're right that they are really dedicated to their teams, and
Right.
we hope the same from Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana after today, that they will play every week from now on.
I hope so. Maybe they have some fun. And they obviously, Magnus played in the title Tuesday this last week, which was a surprise to all. He sort of showed up at the last minute, but maybe that's a sign that he's a little bit bored. February's a little bit of a down month for him, right? He just came off Tata Steel. He's got nothing else to do right now but play some online chess. So we like that. Arnold played Queen to C2. Anna, Arnold played Queen to C2.
Ready for the Pro Chess League. Not an easy task.
Sorry, I guess I lost you there. What were you saying?
Simply that I guess he was also playing the title Tuesday because he was warming up for the match today. Facing Fabiano Caruana is never easy, so he is actually taking it so serious that he practiced online on Tuesday. I'm sure he also prepared theoretically for the game, and we shall see what happens.
Yeah, and Rapid is fun whenever you see the best players in the world because, one, it's always amazing to see the high quality of chess that they're able to maintain despite the short time controls. But with that, usually there's some sort of blunder, right? I mean, eventually you get a very dynamic game because even the best players in the world can't play perfectly with short time controls. So we should be in for a lot of excitement. So this game with Mark Arnold, it looks like he played Queen to C2 rather than get the queens off the board. But his opponent immediately played Queen H5, which I really like. Not only did it guard the H7 pawn against this battery, everybody, but the queen is well placed on H5 for the dual purpose of maybe launching her own attack. Moves like bishop to G4 might come in. So, okay, Arnold castles, we get rook to D8. The game is just getting started, but I think that Depati for the Mumbai movers has done well to this point to equalize pretty quickly with black.
I agree with you. And what do you think about Robert's position?
Yeah, let's take a look over it. Grandmaster Robert Hess, a big favorite of everybody on Chess.com. Well, he's a little bit worse in a symmetrical structure, I guess, from the perspective that, this is like an exchange Slav where White looks to be poised to have a little more control over the potentially critical part of the board. But Black plays these positions a lot. I mean, this is a position where Black has no long-term weaknesses, despite White having, the open file. Maybe the C7 square starts looking a little tricky. But I guess if Robert can play bishop b7 and rook c8, he'll be okay. Is there something immediately here for White that makes that difficult?
I guess the question is if there are jumps like knight e5 to try to do something immediately, but he also needs to castle. So I don't think there's a direct refutation of this position. This is just a balanced, slightly worse position, I would call it, for Black. Do you think that Robert would be frustrated with a draw? I mean, this is a rapid game, so I don't think there will be many draws, but this is a position that is not so easy to win with the Black pieces.
Right. And part of the reason Anna says that, everybody, is just because the structure is completely symmetrical, right? There's not a lot of dynamic imbalances where one side has the bishop pair and the other side has double pawns or something, right? This is a position where unless you come up with something, probably everybody's going to meet on the C file, and we're just going to get a massive simplification of minor pieces and rooks. So, I mean, it's not that simple. I think if Black plays bishop b7, which is what I expect Robert to play here, he will look for ideas of putting the knight on e4 at some point, create a little imbalance there, maybe put the rook on c8. But I think you're right, and I think if White wants to play knight e5 and then like knight a4 and just kind of force the issue on the c file, probably we're going to get a bunch of big trades. So we'll keep an eye on that one. There's a lot of other grandmasters who have started playing here, and I just want to mention some of the bigger names here. Let's take a look at Grandmaster Mark Paragua. He's playing against Sahaj Grover, who is almost a grandmaster by strength there. This is going to be a fun one. Here we have a Najdorf Sicilian, and an early and aggressive approach from black, playing the move b5, laughing in the face of danger with the queen on the diagonal of the rook. E5 would be met by bishop.
This is the chess you like, Danny.
What?
This is the chess you like, Danny.
Yeah, this is the chess I like, exactly. Let's go for it. So e5 will be met by moves like bishop b7 for those wondering about why white isn't just winning in this position. Okay, and white plays g4. This is actually all theory. I know that for those who are maybe not quite as experienced would look at this position. I mean, it's clearly very, very tricky. You have positions where the kings will both come under attack. But this has all been played before. This is a very typical position, and I think all of this is still theory here, and white is going to be just looking to go all out and try to checkmate the black king, and black will look to defend tactically and then look to maybe do the same to white later on, right?
Yeah, this is going to be very exciting. Do you need to push h4 and then f5? I'm not sure about how the theory goes here. I don't play this line myself, but you should definitely aim for f5 as white.
Yeah, and so for white, immediately you're worried about the g5 pawn potentially falling. But a lot of these positions come down to that decision, Anna, where it's like, do you take extra time to play supportive moves but lose tempi in the overall race for checkmate? Or do you just throw it all in and understand that every time your opponent makes a move that isn't attacking your king, maybe that's a move they regret later on. So at some point you see these positions open up. Likely one side is looking to sacrifice a pawn or two to keep the initiative, and that's, like you said, it's the kind of chess that me and Simon like for sure.
So a3 you don't like that much, but it had to be played because of the threat of b4 and castle queenside for black.
Yeah, that's right. b4 was threatened because of the knight and bishop ganging up on the e4 pawn, everybody, removing this knight. And now, okay, so Paragua Castle's long, which means we're not going to get the sharpest of lines with full onslaughts for checkmate, but this is still going to be a very fun one. What other games do we want to check out here? We've got a lot going on. A lot of very, very strong players.
Yes, let me also see who else. Vidit, I was also going to check.
That's right. Vidit is taking on
Giri, and a very strong player himself, Olympic player for the team of India, Vidit Gujarati, with the black pieces against Daniel Yeager.
Yeager's known on Chess.com, Anna, as a sort of a chess variant specialist. He's one of the best bug house players on the planet, actually.
Is he?
In fact, when we hold our Chess.com Bug House Championship, which I don't want to reveal the dates yet, we're working on it right now to make sure we get big names, but Yeager will likely be playing with a partner. He will be invited because he's known as a bug house specialist, and he also tied for first in December with the first annual Crazy House Championship we ever did. So he's a variant specialist and a FIDE master in terms of classical chess. But you're right, going up against Gujarati that's a tough pairing. Obviously, Vidit is one of the best players in India and likely the big favorite in this game. Unfortunately for Yeager, he can't be asking his partner for pawns or knights or anything.
I think he was wishing for a pawn on h6. He would put there a pawn and then start
or something to go to the attack. Yeah. But I like black here. I think that it looks like Gujarati has a very nice control over the d file. Right, this d3 square is
that's just a painful hole in white's position. This
super
d3
painful.
square.
Now, b6 was sort of laughing at the idea that this pawn is hanging, but what does Gujarati have planned? If queen takes e4, is it as simple as rook to b8, and he's just relying on the long-term light squares for an attack with bishop b7?
Or bishop a6 as well, and
bishop a6, okay.
And now, well, it's not so easy to prevent the
actually, it
soft
looks like
material.
the knight is just almost falling, right?
Exactly, and if rook e1, knight d3, also he's losing material.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, you're right. That's so that's the idea right there, everybody. If we're wondering why Gujarati was calling Yeager's bluff here, he says you can't even take this pawn because among other things, bishop a6 looks to be super dangerous. Even a move like bishop g4, Anna, which also hits the knight and opens up ideas like knight f3 check, right?
F3, so bishop a6 was perhaps the best, but yes, he definitely had several good options.
Right, but there's ideas like knight f3 and winning the queen. So
but yeah, so
right.
This is so he would have one.
Oh, but you're right though. After queen e4,
rook and pawn, rook and piece f4 trying to, well, if
Trying
bishop
to
takes
really
e2,
mix it up here.
bishop takes e2, he wants to play rook f2 or rook e1, but this is still looking very bad.
Yeah, I mean, after bishop e3, the rook moves anywhere. Don't I have knight f3 check winning the queen? What's the deal?
Yes. Oh,
So
so he wants to capture the knight on, like,
I
bishop
guess
takes
so. So
e2.
he's just sacrificing the exchange. That's got to be it, right? He's just
Yeah,
looking
he
to,
has to go for that.
okay, which would make sense if White can establish things like d4, everybody, and if you gave White, 4 moves to get the bishop out, get the rook out, and get the king safe, probably White be okay. But the problem is likely he will not get that many moves, right? He just doesn't have the time to,
No,
I think simple moves from Black here to go after the e5 pawn, maybe even a move like c5. It would seem unlikely that Jaeger should be able to sacrifice this exchange and live to tell the tale, but we will keep in touch. One of the issues and good things about the Pro Chess League, Anna, is look at this. We have, we have a list of who's who in terms of grandmasters playing games here, and the games are already getting under time pressure, but we simply don't have time to cover every game, right? So
yeah, there are
fans of
48 teams. Each of them consists of 4 players. So right now there are already many of them playing. And I've just seen in the chat that Magnus Carlsen is online. A shout out to the world champion who is ready for his
he's ready. He's
match
logged in. Magnus
against
Carlsen.
the ChessBrahs.
Magnus Carlsen's in. I see him along with Magnus. I see Wesley So has already logged in. Shapishnikov. Erwin Lamy is here. Love my boy Ermin. Georg Meyer. So there's a lot of super strong grandmasters that are in the live server who haven't even... And, of course, King Loke Van Welly. So, okay, well, let's stay focused on these games that are just getting under time pressure, at least until Magnus and the and Fabiano and the epic matchup begins. So... Remind everybody, get involved on social media. Give us a tweet. You can also follow both of us as you see, but just use the hashtag and give us some questions, and we will try to answer them.
Yeah, actually, there's a question. Some of you have asked why there is a -0.5 point for one of the teams in this round, and it's true that there can be some penalties because of, for instance, sending in the lineup too late. So unfortunately, those teams who are not sending in the exact names of the 4 players who will play this match, they get a penalty. In this case, it's a half a point.
That's exactly, and even if it wasn't submitting late, I think last minute changes. One of the things that our team is doing all week is organizing with all the managers. Obviously, there's 48 teams, over 500 players from around the world. So it takes a lot to pull together and get all of everything set and ready to go. So the teams are required to be prompt, and when they are not as prompt as they should be, there's sometimes penalties. So that is why Mumbai has been docked a half a point. Things are going okay here. Let's see. So what game is going to be the most exciting? The Arnold game versus Depati. This game is they both still have over 6 minutes, and it looks like this one is petering out to a draw. Everybody's getting traded on the open file, so we're going to ignore that. Let's check out Kubrick's game, which of course is Grandmaster Robert Hungaski.
Oh, what is this position? Oh, yeah, this is not more messy.
This is a mess, right? Kubrick looks like he's a little better. Just my quick intuition says I see a threat on f3 for black, and I see the pass c pawn.
I can take your knight, but then my knight drops as well, so they exchange knights in this way. And let's just count the pawns. It's an extra pawn for black, but opposite colored bishops, and the e7 pawn is hanging. Now, e6 is a move that, unfortunately, you have to play it when this bishop on c8 is
exactly
kind of sad.
Yeah, no, you're right. e6 is a painful move to play. You want your bishop coming to e6 so you can hit the a2 pawn. So that suggests to me maybe Kubrick, maybe he doesn't have as much of an advantage as I first thought, but he still has the pass c pawn. Now, I guess the real issue for him is if he plays b6 to guard it, probably White launches bishop to d8 and begins to undermine the dark square pawn. So maybe Kubrick looks to sacrifice the c pawn and go after the a2 pawn. But I mean, maybe theoretically, if the computers were playing this, Anna, we'd predict a draw. I predict some sort of blunder at the end and somebody wins. I predict a train wreck. So that's.
I always root for the underdog, so I'm hoping for a white win in this case. I'm sorry for Mr. Hungaski.
Yeah, well, it is fun to see the big upsets. Let's check back with Grandmaster Robert Hess again, because a lot of the Chess.com community knows him, and because he's down on time here against his lower rated opponent, but things got weird, right? We were predicting not a lot of tactics here, Anna, and a simplification on the C file, and what in the world happened? Somehow Robert not only won one but two pawns over here on the queen side. I'm looking at
what
maybe the move
exactly?
A4.
We saw it when it was still all balanced. Oh, he went
After
fishing with
A4,
the queen. Queen A5, queen takes A4, and B3, sacrificing that pawn as well.
yeah, White goes all in here with the sacrifice of the queen side to try to bait the queen into a regrettable position. In fact, this combination looks super strong because now, wait, why isn't White just playing bishop takes H7 to win the queen? I guess Black gets a lot of material on that line.
Ah, maybe he just wants a draw. Do you think he's satisfied with a draw here, playing bishop C2, bishop D3?
Possibly. Bishop C2, bishop D3 looks forced, and as you predicted, would Robert be okay with a draw? I guess he's asking himself that question right now, but he doesn't really have a choice, right? He either
No, he
loses the
doesn't.
lady or...
He can also lose the game if he doesn't go for the draw.
Right. Really, if anybody can go for the win here, everybody, it may be Abhishek with this idea. I was just saying bishop takes H7, which unleashes a discovery. And after the bishop is captured, the issue here is that this isn't even that clear, right? I mean, I'm looking at the position after D takes C4. Black has a rook, a bishop, and a couple pawns for the queen. And if White captures on C4, maybe you lose the bishop on C7 to some sort of pin. So I actually expect Abhishek to probably just repeat. No, he doesn't. He plays knight to D2. What in the world? This is just getting weird.
I guess he just wants to trap the queen somehow, but I don't see why is this so good. Well, rook A1, queen
Rook
B2.
A1, and then the other rook comes over.
Yeah.
It actually looks like maybe he will trap the queen.
But why? I thought that Robert could have played queen A4 instead of queen A3, coming back towards C6. Oh, it was. Oh no, it was also bad.
Yeah, because when the rook comes to C1, it doesn't really matter, right? The queen is
yeah,
trapped
exactly.
regardless.
No, I felt like when the queen is on C6, I should have some moves, but Black didn't have any squares. That's and then this B3 move was very strong.
Yeah, I mean, this whole idea of sacrificing the A4 pawn, this is and White is playing super fast here, so perhaps preparation, excuse me, by Abhishek, but this is this approach with bishop to C7 and B3 and really having the foresight to see that queen is going to get herself trapped. That was impressive combination there by Mr. Keller, and looks like he will have the advantage now. Robert does still have a rook and a minor for the queen, but being down on time and down the queen, I expect White to pull the upset here. So let's go back to Daniel Yeager's game. Well, just to confirm, Vidit Gujrathi did win, one of the strongest players in India. So, and he did well at the Olympiad this year, you said.
Yes, exactly, and he's also very successful as being the second of Anish Giri, so one of the very best players in the world. And Vidit himself is so young; he's just 20, I believe. So he's already a second and an Olympic player. I think we can expect him to try to catch up with Vishy soon, as well as Adiban. So many strong Indian players nowadays.
Yeah, these days Hari Krishna has sort of established himself at the top, I think, as the best Indian player after Anand, I guess, the successor to the great world champion. But you're right, after Hari, of course, there's the youngest international master in the world, right? Yes. Pragananda. Sorry about that. But
it's not an easy surname.
So chess in India is booming for sure. Let's see what else is going on here. We have some other Grandmaster games. Let's check in with Dabashi 555 because he's taken on Andrew Tang, also a well-known rapid and blitz specialist. Not too bad at variant chess, Crazy House and Bughouse himself. And this is a wild one here. Debashis Das versus Andrew Tang. The king side has cleared with potentially devastating consequences, though I instinctively look at this and like White, mainly because of the bishop pair, and I don't see any real tactical pressure for Black. So if white gets castled long, if he can manage to get castled long without any tactics, it looks like Das will have a better middle game. But this should be an interesting one. What is the let's go back to okay, the opposite code bishop ending gone wild. We have Kubrick's game here. Robert I keep calling him Kubrick because I know him by his username, but Robert Hungoski. Okay, well, he managed to get a position where I think he's probably the only one who can win now, and if time is telling, which it often is in rapid chess, it also looks like he has a small advantage on the clock down the stretch here.
I'm trying to see if there's anything direct, but yeah, it's not looking very good for white with the king on h4.
And one thing that should be noted about the scoreboard here, Anna, is that the Patagonia Penguins have actually already taken a 2-1 lead in this match over the Nomads. So if Robert wins this game, that will send them into round 2 with a commanding 3-1 lead. So, and already if he draws, they sort of had a good, successful first round. You can see the scoreboard here right above us, everybody. There's a lot of games going at once, so we try to keep the scoreboard updated, considering that we may not be covering the game of your favorite team as you want us to, but hopefully you can keep track of the scores. Also, if by chance this is your first time watching the Pro Chess League, where have you been? But you can just log on to Chess.com. Chess.com, create a free membership, and you can watch all the games yourself if you're not satisfied with the game that Anna and I are choosing to cover at the moment. So I like to say those things so that they can't complain. I know a lot of people like to complain in the chat. That's kind of the thing on the internet. The thing on the internet is go complain about what you're watching in chat. But no, so watch the games as you wish in the Chess.com live server, or stay with me and Anna and follow our journey. Looks like Hungoski's gonna take care of this one. It feels like white is getting into a little bit of trouble here, but maybe. Okay, so rook g6 check is not a threat here, everybody, because after king h5, you can't actually gobble this bishop unless you want to deal with the queen. So what's he playing now on the move g7?
Oh wow, yeah, that's pawn really started running. Bishop d5 well, with the rook on g2, he's preventing g8, but I wish he could push his pawn. So bishop d5, e4, e3 would be something I want to play as black. I'm trying to see if there are any tricks. Rook g6 check, and he went back to g2.
Yeah, I mean,
is he just trying to win time?
I think he's had a little bit of a loss of how to improve the position. I mean, he can play bishop c6. I was going to say bishop c6 to hit the rook and then try to move the e pawn with tempo, but likely it doesn't do much, right? Even pushing e4 here, suddenly white actually has the move rook takes d5. So maybe white has a way out of this one.
Yeah, and Kubrick has declined the draw, so he is trying, but he should show it on the board how he wants to try. You should push e3, but you can't because of the bishop on b6, and it's not easy to prepare that push.
Yeah, I mean, this is we see the dysfunction or the difficulties of playing opposite bishop endings, right? You have goals, but usually your bishop can't challenge the enemy bishop in terms of what they're doing, and that creates these interesting dynamics where square control is so important. Black has control of the dark squares. White has control of the dark squares, which is just preventing black from really having any winning chances.
Yeah, so he went for bishop c6, but after rook d8, he's forced to go back to d5 and prevent the promotion on g8. Bishop e3. At least now he can push the b pawn as well. But bishop g5 is a threat. So
if b5, the whole point of this, everybody, was sort of a bridge effect. We see this in rook endings. White is taking away the rook's defense here. And the real threat in that position is not even just a queen and let the bishop give itself up, but play a move like rook takes d5 and then get a queen for free. So Kubrick, the grandmaster, is under some pressure here.
Ooh, what was that? Bishop h6? Why not bishop?
I'm not sure what the threat was there.
I don't understand it. I thought that bishop g5 was just really strong. Well, it's good like this as well. He can take the bishop and promote.
Well, Abdulkar is playing a really high quality endgame here. I mean, this is
Why did he promote instead of taking the
well,
bishop?
he wins the rook, right? I think he's probably
Yeah, yeah, this is still good as well. I just wanted the queen.
well,
I
Abdulkar
thought that
coming up
was
with a
even more
huge
winning.
win.
Yeah, I
We were
noticed,
just
but this is just the rook up.
we were just discussing that that the Penguins had taken a 2-1 lead, and for those of you who don't know, obviously you see the little team logo here. Hungoski plays for the Penguins, so he was in sort of a commanding position, but it looks like he may not be able to win this, or not. It doesn't look like he's going to lose, which means we're going to have a tied match here between the Nomads and the Penguins heading into their second set of games. That'll be fun.
Yeah, well, what an upset with almost 500 rating points difference. And he was a pawn down in an opposite colored endgame, opposite colored bishop endgame.
Yeah, no, this is going to be an upset. But speaking of upsets, let's jump back over to Robert's game. Hess taking on Abhishek Kelkar, down on time, big time, but also losing in the position. The queen has an advantage over the rook and the knight here, but this isn't so simple, right? I mean, this is exactly, if you were going to defend a position, Anna, with a rook and a knight for the queen, you would want all the pawns on one side of the board, because that makes it easy for the rook and knight to coordinate and defend. And you would want this type of piece protection. Karpov would be proud, right, Anna? Everybody owns and it defends each other on the queen side. I don't even think White is winning here. This is vintage Robert Hess to be able to defend this position. He could even trade rooks. I think rook c8. He has to be careful. I mean, the only way I think Black loses this is if he blunders some sort of tactic and the queen and rook end up getting jiggy with it on the 8th rank here. This is a problem for the White king. But if I'm Robert, I might have just traded rooks, especially under time pressure. But maybe he. Remember, there's a 2-second increment.
Yeah, I think he's playing for a win, actually, because he could have traded rooks, as you mentioned, but now he's going aggressive with g5, and knight f4 could be a move now, and attacking the g2 pawn.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets the rook and knight together attacking g2, it's actually White's king that will be in trouble. And there's also a simple plan of going after the d4 pawn, which is hard for White to deal with. So this has been very impressive. I mean, after this outstanding queen sacrifice, outstanding queen trapping idea by Kelkar, if you're just joining us, really interesting idea by White earlier in the game. But Robert has defended very well, and now he's going after. Should he have played rook c2 there, Anna, instead of going after the d pawn?
I think I would have preferred rook c2 because now after h4 this is unpleasant. Oh no, this is not something that's
he might lose now. Queen f6 check, and then the rook comes down to the 8th rank.
Exactly.
But he has some sort of tricks.
With the knight on g6, he is still surviving, but rook h3 is coming. Rook h4, well, but this is a much worse version of the position he could have had.
Absolutely. No, he definitely had winning chances that seem to be dwindling. But he will be able to win the e5 pawn, it looks like, without the queen being able to do much.
That's true. I wish I could have the
d5?
white king on h6 already, just marching to h6 with the white king and mating on g7. But yeah, without the pawn on e5, that's not possible.
White did not have time. So really, Black can't win this position short of a blunder by White, which may happen now that both sides are under time pressure. But regardless of Hess's inability to maybe win this game, Anna, this has been really impressive, right? To see the pieces outplay the queen. To me, this is what chess is all about. I love it. I love the imbalance here of the pieces versus the queen. Robert's going to play this one on.
We need to abandon this game, though, because right now, the Montreal ChessBrahs will be facing the Norway Gnomes. It's Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana, not facing each other right now, but their teams playing against each other. So Magnus will play against the board 4 of the ChessBrahs and Fabiano the same. So, well, this is supposed to be the easy round for them, but upsets can happen.
I have made sure to be following Magnus Carlsen's game, and as you said, it has begun. He is taking on the 4th board. So the way that these matchups work, everybody, is that the Pro Chess League pairings are set up so that all 4 players on the team will play all 4 players of the other team. So to me, that was one of the most exciting things we did this year in sort of organizing the idea for the league. Greg Shahade, the commissioner, and the discussion of how to make it more exciting. Well, now you get to have a master, right? Just a regular master from Canada. Nothing against Elias, but obviously certainly not in Magnus Carlsen's league. But he gets a chance to play the greatest chess player of all time, right? I mean, it's an opportunity, and it's something that the fans get excited about regardless of the result, even if. And people love mismatches. Maybe Magnus crushes him, which is exciting, or maybe he pulls, an incredible upset, right? And anything is possible. So, but we will be building up, starting with these matchups where Carlsen and Caruana are both taking on the lower-seeded players for the respective opposing teams. But we will be building up to this huge matchup here between Carlsen and Caruana. So don't go anywhere. Let's also get Fabiano's game up. I'll make sure to be. To be following Fabiano. So now we have Fabiano's game has not started yet, so that's why it's not being showed. But okay, he will be starting soon. Here we have a Queen's Indian by Magnus Carlsen.
Yeah, the interesting thing about playing such lower rated players, like in this case, so the difference is huge, 650 rating points.
Right.
That Magnus has to go for sidelines. He has to keep material on the board. Sometimes it means that he shouldn't play the objectively best moves. He just cannot liquidate. He cannot go for trades, too many trades,
right.
And the objectively best variations always.
Right, it's a big change for these guys who are playing in tournaments like, the Tata Steel, chess tournament, or Gibraltar, or I guess Gibraltar's more of an open Swiss. But when these guys like Carlsen and the top 10 in the world are only playing each other, not to say that chess is more boring, actually, but it's more objectively, they play more like computers, of playing the absolute best move in the position, regardless of whether they need to win or not. But this dynamic is one where Carlsen his team is relying on him to win this game as black against a pretty good chess player. So that makes it really fun. Let's jump back over to Robert's game just to make sure everybody knows that they did draw. They did draw this game, and in a surprising result. We have to mention, just because those fans who've been with us will want to know the result of this journey, Anna. Kubrick was also able to draw this one.
Oh my, are you joking with the rook down?
Well, actually, what I didn't realize, Anna, as we were looking at that position, is that the white rook was just trapped on b2.
Trapped, and you can't take the bishop, because with the bishop only on the board, you will not give mate.
Right, so this was actually... This was actually, so the massive blunder, almost blunder of the week worthy for Chess Center, everybody, was this move here, rook to b2, and then bishop d2 by white. White sort of panics here and logically thinks all I have to do is stop the b-pawn, but the truth is, this is an easy win for white. Really, what white should have done was just put the bishop here on this diagonal, the h8, a1 diagonal, and then white is easily winning. But this is a very instructive moment for everybody to recognize. Look at this endgame where white is unable to win despite being up an entire rook because the rook traps itself on b2. And so, Anna, they drew because of the 50 move rule. For the next 50 moves, Kubrick just, Hungaski just moved his king.
That's just incredible, yeah.
Fascinating.
I saw that with the rook up, that was just no point in following the game, but, well...
Right. Well, you and I weren't even thinking like that. Like, we had just seen white outplay black and the big upset, right? Abdelkar had gotten this endgame where he's up a rook and we're calling for the win, but we didn't. We actually left the game right after the rook had put itself on b2, but neither one of us saw that coming, right? That's kind of funny. Okay, so Fabiano Caruana's game has started along with Magnus Carlsen's, and so we're locked in for the matchup of the day, right? If there was a Sports Center highlight, this is the matchup of the day: the Montreal ChessBrahs versus the Norway Gnomes. Fabiano Caruana versus Magnus Carlsen. Caruana is also in a position you just highlighted, right, Anna? He's black against the lower-rated player, but he needs to win for his team. But here he seems to have a much bigger advantage on the board 1 versus board 4 matchup, right? Magnus is playing against the...
Do you see the rating gap, by the way?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's 1,800 versus 2,800.
That's just...
The last time I had a 1,000-point rating advantage, I probably lost that game, to be honest. So I'm not even going to say I won. I don't even remember. But it's not a game. This isn't a matchup that Caruana is faced with very often, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not something that he's used to.
So okay, so there's also other games going for these two teams, and the big names that we have to cover, of course, are Arjan Tari, Ariane Tari, also the rising Norwegian star. He was featured in a video that Anna helped us produce, talking about the Norway Gnomes. You can check that out in our Pro League profiles on YouTube. But Tari taking on Hansen. This might be a more exciting matchup initially, right? With Carlsen and Caruana having big rating advantages. But here we got GM on GM action here, right? I mean, this is gonna be a big game. We also have the legend himself, talking, of course, of Amon Hambleton, legendary because of his hair. We have Amon Hambleton, known to the fans on Chess.com as KNVB, versus Sultan of Kings, who is Jan Ludwig Hammer. These are two guys that even for the most casual of fans probably don't even really need to see their real name on the screen, because Sultan of Kings is known to everybody as the Hammer, Jan Ludwig Hammer, and KNVB is Amon Hambleton. Maybe the most popular chess bra on Chess.com. I don't want to hurt Eric Hansen's feelings, but Hamilton has a huge fan base on Chess.com.
Yeah, they are both really good at streaming. Actually, the three of them, I would add Robin van Kampen as well. He's not playing today, but they cannot have all three ChessBrahs playing. Let's just remind everybody that all teams should line up 4 players without overgoing the rating average of 2,500. So no matter that they have other super strong grandmasters, they cannot always play at the same time.
Right. Because helping lead the way for the ChessBrahs, that's a great point, Anna, at this point in the season, has been Li Chao, right? Chinese grandmaster, and he's but you can't have a team of Li Chao, Caruana, Van Kampen, and Hansen all on one team, as that FIDE average would probably be somewhere like 2670, or that would be very, very high, right? So you have to balance. That's what helps us create the competitive structure, the balanced structure. And so Hamilton is the underdog on paper here, but he's a very, very strong blitz and bullet player. If this becomes a time scramble, look for Hamilton to maybe pull an upset over Hammer. Let's take a look at some of the other games here between these two big teams. I'm looking for some of the other matchups. I haven't been able to pull them up yet. I just clicked on Lenderman's game, who's starting round 2. Now he gets to take on the player Kelkar, who just pulled the draw upset against Robert Hess. So Lenderman now white against Kelkar. But we're going to stay focused on the Montreal and Norway matchup. I'm looking for the other games. Well, let's just
Ariane
keep
Tari
following what we
with
see.
5 pieces against Eric Hansen.
Yeah, I just jumped back to that one. So let's see Tari's game versus Hansen. So Ariane, is it Ariane or Ariane?
A good question. I think it's Ariane.
Ariane Tari.
I think that's how I call him, and he never complains. So I hope this
Ariane,
is correct.
that's what we're going with then. Ariane, that's your name from now on. So Ariane, I like his position as white here. A small edge, but still a solid position. White is really striving to make this c5 push, everybody, and the reason is that something like c5, if I just made a move here, would really change the structure in white's favor. You have this really bad c6 pawn, which is now isolated, and it also would open up this bishop on g3 for tactics. And so now Hansen is considering in this position, am I worried about c5, or do I play, and if so, do I need to play c5? Well, what becomes weak there? If you ever push a pawn, always remember that it leaves squares behind. So you might see Tari go right back for this type of maneuver where he fills the d5 square or the b5 square. So this is some good high-level chess. I always want to try to provide some insight to the plans. But, okay, so actually Hansen plays the move I sort of just randomly made. He plays rook a to b8. He's currently sort of baiting Tari to play c5. And Anna, I would guess that's because he's going to meet c5 with the move d5. Right?
I believe so, that he's planning for going for d5. And he's not worried about the e5 pawn.
Not right away, right? It doesn't look like there's any way for Tari to expose some sort of tactics here.
Bishop f3 was played. And, I was still wondering about c5, though.
Yeah, I was still wondering if he should have played c5, but he decided no. I think maybe part of how white feels here, Anna, is that Tari has a space advantage. Maybe he'll play bishop f3. Maybe he'll play b3. Maybe he'll sit on the position a little bit and ask Hansen how he wants to play. But Hansen may have just answered that question. Is he really going to play f5 and be aggressive on the king side? Maybe he will.
I think he's going for it, knight d7, so that, c5 is not that dangerous anymore. The e5 pawn will always be protected as well. And yes, he can go for f5 if he wants.
Well, Tari plays what I was kind of suggesting. Maybe I thought he might sit on the position, so he plays some solid moves, bishop 3, b3. He's kind of, maybe he's calling Hansen's bluff, because one of the drawbacks to f5, everybody, right away, of course, it initially gains space for black and may actually work out if black can get the knight back to f6 and start to get pieces behind these advanced pawns. But now f5 might be met with moves like c5 or, I mean, maybe not e4 because of f4, but it's double-edged to open up your king in this way, right? I mean, this could
definitely
create a lot of tactics in the position.
So basically, Arjen is telling Eric, what do you want to do?
Right,
He
come and
was
get me
ready
or
for
not,
the
right?
c5 push, and he prevented everything, but he has to make some kind of a progress in this position.
Well, I expect f5 here. I like f5. I mean, maybe that's because I'm overly aggressive by nature and, should consider changing my meds.
I would be worried
But,
about
right,
weakening
but
my king, but maybe it's all right to play f5.
I run on a little bit of a high level of serotonin naturally, so I think that makes me a little bit more aggressive as a chess player than I should be. Okay, so he plays bishop f8, but maybe he wants to slow play this idea. Let's jump back into the big names of the day. First, checking in with the one and only Magnus Carlsen, world champion, is black against national master Elias Osadik of the ChessBrahs. So a huge favorite on paper, and looks like he is, doing what Magnus does best, positionally grinding his opponent. I have to prefer the knight versus the bishop here when I look at all these weak pawns. But the ChessBrah has held his own so far, right?
Yeah, with such a rating gap, I think he should be proud of himself for holding on.
Right. Now what about the other game with the big rating gap? Here we have Fabiano Caruana. Looks like just simplifying the position. He's about to win an endgame with not only a much better structure, but likely moves like rook to d3 or rook to d2 will soon
It's
start
a very
picking off these
healthy pawn
pawns.
up or 2 pawns up maybe soon.
Yeah.
I think he will have no problem converting this. And the bishops also are on the same color, so there cannot be even a trouble converting it because of the opposite color bishops.
Absolutely. Let's do a quick pause, 10 seconds for station identification. Remind everybody this is week 5 of the Pro Chess League. All of the matchups you see here, they will go down today. Currently, the most active division. This is an interdivisional week, so not exactly broken down, Anna, by our normal standings, right? Eastern Division, Central Division. But everything you see on this scoreboard, these matches will be going down today over the next 16 hours. So if you had plans on Saturday, it's time to cancel. And the big matchup of the day, of course, is the one that we've been talking about that will go down in about an hour from now. Magnus Carlsen versus Fabiano Caruana. This is going to be nutty. We've got two of the best chess players on the planet. And remind everybody that they're almost just as big, of course, is MVL will be taking on Wesley So. Probably the hottest chess player in the world right now, Grandmaster Wesley So. This matchup will also go down between the Migraines and the Archbishop. So just want to remind everybody what we're doing here. Get involved with the hashtag ProChess. Anna, we got any activity on social media with the hashtag?
Hashtag, the chat is really hot on Twitch and on Chess.com as well. But I don't know why I'm not getting as many tweets as I'm hoping for. So guys, this is a reminder, hashtag ProChess, and I'm checking the Twitter sphere as well. I would like to see more tweets. I'm so grateful to everybody who is commenting on Chess.com in the chat, but also tweet us. Let's just get all those comments on Twitter as well.
Twitter. Well, we should also make a quick shout out because all these matchups are starting. Just, of course, we want everyone to stick with us, but there are a number of people streaming today. The ChessBrahs themselves have their own stream while they play, which is just so much fun. I don't think Caruana is giving live commentary, but probably one of either Hansen or Hamilton. But then also the apes. Let me remind everybody that the Appledorm apes are planning to have every one of their players, Anna, will be streaming to their own personal channel today. So that's the first time ever that we've had all 4 players in the lineup streaming live commentary of their own thought process. So that's just really cool, and it's amazing to see so many different teams and people getting involved in doing their own content while playing. So, all right, Caruana's going to clean up here, everybody. He's gonna surround the weaknesses, and this will be a typical example where White just has too many problems, not enough time, too many weak pawns all over the board. So Caruana, we expect to take care of business. Carlsen is slowly working on strangling the d5 pawn. He's now locked out this bishop. But this isn't so easy, right? I mean, Magnus has his own weakness on c7, so Carlsen has to figure out a way to take care of White's weaknesses without allowing any unnecessary counterplay here.
Yeah, Elias is also down on time, so I'm sure that even though he has been fighting very well, it's very likely that he will go down because of the structural weaknesses and because of the basically he's got half the time that Magnus Carlsen on the clock.
You got to respect f4 as an aggressive try, because as soon as Magnus reveals his hand with this very nice move, king f8, the writing is on the wall, everybody. Black intends to bring the king to guard the c7 pawn, which will free up the rook for some action on the a file, whether that's trading rooks and making it easy or even bringing the rook around to c3. I think Magnus was just going to win that easily. So Elias, he aggressively tries to change it up, which is double-edged because he's weakening his king, but strong players very rarely just want to sit tight and let somebody just beat them over the head with a hammer, right? I mean, this is like, you have to do something to make it messy, so you have to expect Elias, and you have to respect him for doing that, though I think he will probably lose faster now that he's played f4.
Yeah, now
his king
is also very vulnerable, and after knight h5 hitting the g3 pawn, if king h2, he can play, I don't know if immediately, but the rook will at some point join the attack, so
yeah,
rook a3 is always in the air.
Even the subtle, just queen a3, as weird as that looks, like, how does he guard the g3 pawn?
Yeah, you're right. He has no way to protect the pawn.
There's no way to block the there's no way to block the third
queen
rank.
a3, that wins material, as weird as it is, but it is true.
Yeah, so yeah, I think, and to say, I really mean that, even though White will probably lose faster now because of a move like f4, that's often, it's good advice for players. You don't just want to sit. If you see a winning plan for your opponent and you just continue to go down that road, that is a serious you problem. You have to create opportunities for people to go wrong and be aggressive. So even though he'll lose this game probably faster, that's what you got to do. It's just he's just outmatched here. Let's jump back over to the big matchup for their two teams today, or one of the big matchups. Of course, we also have Hambleton taking on Hammer, But here we have Tari versus Hansen. Before we get to the big Carlsen-Caruana match, which I think we both are secretly hoping the match is tied, right, when Carlsen and Caruana play.
Of course.
just so all the stakes are high. But really, the truth is that may not happen. And early on, these matchups here amongst the grandmasters who aren't Carlsen or Caruana, but Hansen and Tari and Hammer and Hambleton are very, very strong. And the matchups between these guys may really decide who wins this.
Yeah. No, the great thing about this system, all plays all, that everybody is as valuable as the other player. So it doesn't matter that Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana are board 1. The board 4 player is as valuable and as important as board 1.
Agreed. And so what is the fourth matchup? We have Carlsen, we have Tari, and we have Hammer for the Gnomes. And who is their fourth board? I guess it's the person that was taking on Fabiano, right? So we do have all 4 games going here. Okay, Fabiano.
Yeah, by the way, Tarjei Svensson has just tweeted, Tarjei, thank you for using the hashtag, and more guys should use it, that the opponent of Caruana is a 15-year-old Norwegian star. So 15-year-old, and now he's facing the number 3 in the world.
Right. So a tough matchup, a tough day at the office. But if he's only 15, probably not a really active player on Chess.com with an 1800 rating. Likely much stronger than that. I mean, the ratings we have set for the players, we do our best to base them off of their live FIDE ratings and where we can officially, but if they're active players in Rapid on Chess.com, sometimes their rating can fluctuate just based on how often they play. So, all right, well, he's going to have a tough time, and there we go. E5, I think, will probably be the icing on the cake there by Caruana. Very nice move. Obviously, it's a fork of the rook and the f-pawn, and if White takes it, then Black just simply creates a new fork of now the rook and the king. So I expect Caruana to win this one very, very shortly. Magnus did take care of business. He managed to win a rook, and as we go to the board, it's always nice to catch the resignation.
The handshake, the virtual handshake.
Usyk,
Handshake.
Usyk resigns, and so he goes down, but goes down swinging. Commend him for that. So we're focused on these big games here. Jan Ludwig Hammer versus Amon Hambleton.
So it's
And
1-1, and these two games can decide the first round for either team.
yep, with Caruana and Carlsen taking care of business. As you can see above us, the score is 1-1. So I like who do I like? I don't know. Both the games seem relatively unbalanced, right? I mean, I guess I'm starting to like Hammer a little bit in this game with Hamilton, Anna, and I think partly because when you have an isolated pawn, everybody, which is a big weakness, it's only a matter of time before Black starts attacking it. Usually you need some sort of aggressive counterplay, but all I'm seeing is that pieces are going to be traded. I don't see any way for White to create some sort of attack against the king, which means it feels like it's only a matter of time before Hammer starts to bring down the hammer, excuse the puns, against the d4 pawn.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Danny. And also he is up on time, so I think that Black has very good chances here. What about the other game? Because that means that if Jan Ludwig Hammer wins, Eric Hansen has to win as well.
Yeah, if Hammer wins, then Hansen is up against the wall, although that may just be the case. I kind of like the way this position is evolving for Black, although, wait a second, he's down the exchange. So I looked.
Like his pawn
I know, I initially looked at the structure.
Yeah.
I looked at the structure, I'm like, what happened here? I like what's happening for Hansen, but now I realize he got this structure by sacrificing a rook for the knight.
Yeah, actually he went for that voluntarily. The rook was on b4, not even hanging, and he just took the knight on a4.
Part of the evaluation for let's try to squeeze some instructional nuggets here about why Hansen might give up a rook for the knight. If you're thinking, what in the world, right? I thought rooks were better, especially as a beginner player. You might look at that as crazy, but part of the evaluation you look for is pawn weaknesses, right? And if you can get a pawn for the exchange, which is where you give up a rook for a minor piece, very often the material is much more close to equal than you think. It's not just 4 versus 5 if you're thinking math. It's very, very close. And so the question is, will the rooks be able to get active on any open files? And when you look at this position, the rooks are really they're deprived of squares here, Anna, right? I mean, Black seems to be controlling a lot of the critical areas of the board, which is going to make Tari's life difficult to show the rook being a better piece. So computers often win these positions for both sides because the imbalance makes the tactical accuracy and really the maneuvering accuracy so important, and that's what computers just do at such a high level over humans these days. But I initially, intuitively, I feel like this exchange sacrifices is okay for Black. It doesn't mean that Black is going to win, but I feel like it was an interesting try, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's definitely trying because of his team, so I think he knows that he should go for it. Even though if they lose round 1, it doesn't mean that they will lose the match. There are 4 rounds in total, so I don't know if it's good to take that much of a risk in an early stage of the match.
Especially as Black, right? When probably a draw would be okay. Well, it's interesting. I don't know that he feels like it was a... I mean, it is a big risk. And now that you look at the position, you think, why did Tari play bishop f2, everybody? Well, on the note of what I was describing about how you want to play rook versus knight, if this bishop could ever take the knight here, right, and not only double the pawns, but create more open lines for White, then that would be exactly what White wants for the rook to outplay the minor piece. And on that note, Hansen is kind of deciding, hey, I can't really go for this a-pawn because of ideas. I'm going to guess, Anna, kind of like that. If knight a4, something like queen b3, knight c5, bishop c5, and this is the kind of position the rooks really want. And so maybe Hansen, right as you called it, I guess you said it was kind of risky, and maybe you're right. Maybe he's kind of deciding, hey, I don't like it anymore. Because if you're sacrificing the exchange, Anna, to play knight to c5 from d7, and then in the next move you're going you're going back to d7, that's probably a bad sign. So probably the ChessBrah is regretting his decision currently to sack the exchange.
Yeah, I think he does. And the great thing about having them as streamers is that we will know his thoughts, what he was thinking in this very moment, because he's streaming live about the game.
Is it Eric doing the commentary, or is it Hambleton?
I think he was going to do. I don't know if he later changed his mind, but he was certainly going to do a live stream about it. if somebody knows here in the chat, just let us know what is Eric saying. Is he swearing already?
Yeah. It looks like Eric is probably about to go on a legendary ChessBrahs swear fest. So Eric, that stream is about to become rated R, everybody. So if you want to stay over here, if you have kids, the ChessBrahs wear their emotions and their vocabulary on their shoulder. But let's move on to Hammer's game versus Hamilton. It looks like, okay, it's kind of as we called. We've been happy with Black's position to outplay the pawn. Certainly White did not get the kind of thing you normally want in an IQP with an attack. But maybe Hamilton is holding his own. I mean, this isn't going to be an easy game for Black to win, despite the fact that he handled the middle game well. Like, Anna, if we get a queen trade and I kind of just double rooks on the d file, it's not that simple for Black to be better in this endgame, right? The d pawn is
I agree with you that it's very likely to be a draw.
Yeah.
But Amon has only 1.5 minutes on his clock, so that could be an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he goes exactly for the setup I just talked about. He trades queens, he doubles rooks on the d file.
Yeah, you're right that since it's like there's nothing to hit if it's not the d4 pawn, he's protecting it with 3 pieces.
And I think you could also argue, if you were Hamilton, worst case scenario, if he loses both the knight and the pawn for the bishop, that rook ending doesn't hold the most winning chances
be a draw,
for Black.
You're right.
So it seems like Hammer may have lost his chances to win this one, but with time pressure, you never know, right? So we'll see how if Hamilton holds his own. Let's stay tuned on this crazy exchange sack, because it looks like Tari may be reaping the benefits of an overzealous ChessBrah. Yeah, he's doing well.
I see a funny comment in the chat by Mar Ade. He's saying, I wish Anna and Danny were my brother and sister. They would be awesomely fun siblings. Well, thank you. I've never had that compliment.
I've never been asked to be someone's brother either, so thank you. And today we're all siblings in the world of chess, but so thank you for that. That's funny. I guess it looks like Perunovic is actually the streaming ChessBrah today, not Hansen.
Oh.
So unfortunately, we don't have Eric on
that's
air. He's Eric was tweeting, and I think that's what Anna was referring to, and how we know you can follow both of us on Twitter. Obviously, you see our Twitter right there, and you can follow just about every player in the Pro Chess League. Anna is active in social media. Every team is. So people can follow the team, and I think Eric tweeted definitely there would be commentary, but looks like it's not him. So unfortunately, his frustrations are not being shown to the world right now.
And maybe he's surviving. It's just that it doesn't seem like his sacrifice was worth it.
Agreed 100%. And I feel like when you add the practical addition of the time, which is just, huge here, right? I mean, the first player under 1 minute is usually worse on the board, because that's why they're down on time. But so now, speaking of time, though, let's stay tuned here, because the one way I think Hammer pulls off a victory here is if he gets Hamilton to lose his cool or blunder under time pressure. But that's the exchange I was talking about, Anna. Look, even here, it's hard to believe that White really has a lot of losing chances. The extra pawn for Black
it doesn't look like with the doubled F pawns that Black can create a passed pawn.
Yeah, 100% agreed. I think that Hamilton will hold this game. He should hold the game technically, but will he hold it? I think he will, actually. I think Amon is no stranger to time pressure, and with a 2-second increment, he might as well have a couple minutes. So I don't expect Hamilton to lose this rook ending.
So that leaves us with the game between Arjan Tari and Eric Hansen, which could be anything basically. That could be also a blunder for White. And yeah, with the knight on d4, as long as there are knights in the position, I think anybody can blunder.
But this is, what are the tactics that Eric is relying on here? I mean, if White trades, and what if I just get really, really aggressive and pull a Yasser Serouan and just start grabbing every pawn on the board?
I'm not sure what he's aiming for. Bishop f1 was played by Arjan. Just a solid move saying that Black has no threats.
Yaz, who's a guest ChessBrah from time to time, would have been proud probably if White had just taken and gone and gobbled up pawns, right? Always take the pawn that you have an opportunity to. Greed is your friend in chess.
Yeah,
In fact,
exactly.
I actually don't like Tari's decision. Well, okay, Eric is on tilt here, right? To use our legendary poker terminology. The truth is that Black is relying 100% on some kind of counterplay here against the king and maybe some tactical blunders, or he is going to lose this game. And I think Tari has decisions to make. Do I just take this knight and then try to take pawns? The risk is the moment he gives up that dark square bishop, Anna, all of these squares become potentially, very, very problematic, right? So that's why Tari is kind of holding on to the bishop, sitting tight.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I see that now. Eric has played rook c8, threatening the c4 pawn, but it just all feels like his position could collapse any moment. He's an exchange down, and
Yeah.
rook
And he's
takes
not even really
d6.
threatening the c4 pawn, right? Yeah, this is...
Yeah, I don't like this at all for Black.
Still, I think bishop takes d4 might be played, but it also might be unnecessary. It's one of the decisions where Tari is very smartly he didn't change the position until he really felt confident, but here he decides it's time.
He has just taken, but I think he chose the right moment because the d pawn is under control, so that is not a passed pawn that you should be worried about.
And that's a move I was just highlighting as you were making that point that he can control the d-pawn, is because the point, everybody, is Tari is just sort of calling Hansen's bluff. He just puts the bishop on d3, says no dark square problems for me, and if you take this pawn, all you're doing is trading more pieces and making my rooks even more active. So I really liked bishop d3. Tari played it, and now he should be able to win.
Blunder rook a5, bishop b4, and that's it, basically. He goes straight, so
he has rook to b1. He has rook to b1, so yeah, it's just...
He could have pinned the bishop with rook b1, not losing the rook.
And now he almost has enough pawns where he can just look to start pushing, and that's what he's doing. So, unfortunately, the ChessBrahs is likely going down here, which is going to put Norway in the driver's seat for the match, assuming oh, look at this. Not only that, not only will it put the Brahs in the Gnomes in the driver's seat, but it looks like Hammer found a way to outplay Hamilton under time pressure, and just like that.
So that's huge for the Gnomes. That means that they can win 3-1.
Let's see if we can learn something for the fans about where Hamilton went wrong, because we are all here to learn after all. So what happened here? Hammer played f4 and traded, which still shouldn't be the end of the world. But maybe this trade of the... It feels like maybe White helped Black by trading the pawns and should have been more active with the rook getting counterplay, but maybe we were underestimating...
Yeah.
Not that this position shouldn't have been a draw. I think we were right about that, but maybe we were underestimating how hard it might actually be to draw. But here was the biggest blunder here. He played the move rook to a8 instead of rook to b8.
True.
Because now Hammer was able to check and win this pawn, everybody, and defend Hamilton's threat. So, maybe we underestimated Hammer's winning chances, but also looks like Hamilton blundered under time pressure, went on to lose. What? Wait, but we have a turn of events. Every time I move, I miss a blunder. No, but not necessarily no, but a good counterplay for the Brahs.
How did this happen?
Tari blunders.
He blundered a piece.
He blunders the bishop, and now Black has two bishops against the rooks, which I would take any day. Tari
definitely. The pair of bishops is extremely powerful. How did he blunder his piece?
He allowed this strange tactic with the move rook to e2. But why is... he blundered, everybody, because if rook takes, pawn takes, king f2, there's bishop to b4. Bishop to b4 check at the end, skewering or forking the king and rook. So that's what he blundered when he allowed rook e2. The move c6 was a massive blunder. Likely anything else here. I mean, rook to a8.
Yeah, it even opens the diagonal of the bishop. So the f8 bishop can go to b4 just because of the move of c6.
Wow, and we literally just missed that, Anna, checking on how Hammer was able to win a game he should not have been able to win. Now Hansen is going to win a game possibly that he was not supposed to be able to win.
Yeah, he has just declined the draw offer from Arjan. So Eric is playing for a win after having had a lost position.
He knows he's in a position where his team has to win to maintain a tie. But, I mean, really, even if Hansen draws this game, I think you're looking at this as a successful start to the match for the Brahs, given the position they were just facing 5 minutes ago, right? Where Hamilton was losing and Hansen should have lost. This could have been a 3-1 deficit, but will now likely be only a 2.5, 1.5 deficit.
Oh, this was a painful blunder for Aryan, but at the same time, they were both short on time, so it can happen.
Yep. That's what rapid chess, that's what the Pro Chess League is all about. Not blunders, but exciting chess, and yes, sometimes blunders are what are most exciting. This isn't really a position White can lose unless he blunders his king into some sort of 2-bishop mate or blunders his rook on a diagonal. So let's check it. Let's check in real quick. Well, let's stay with this under time pressure. I think in a moment we'll check in with the overall standings, remind everybody the matches we started with between the Penguins and the Nomads. That looks like a nail-biter, so if you want to log into Chess.com server and follow those results. The Sopranos have fallen behind the Movers here. So the Sopranos, with a 3-1 record coming in, are actually losing to the Mumbai Movers, so we'll see if that stays that way. And the Delhi Dynamite, Anna, who are leading their division, are really putting a hurt on the New York Knights right now. They're up 5-1. So
that's a huge score after 2 rounds.
That's a huge score. So the Dynamite have shown themselves as a potential favorite heading into the playoffs. So we didn't miss much while I was showing you all the standings. Really just a bunch of tickle here. Everyone's just moving their pieces around and not doing anything relevant. So this is going to be a draw. I think at some point Hansen will simply extend the offer and Tari will accept. And then we will immediately see round 2 between the ChessBrahs and the Gnomes. Remind everybody we are building up, of course, to this huge matchup between Carlsen and Caruana that will take place at some point today. When do we get when does the St. Louis and the Migraines matchup get started?
They will start at 4:15 GMT, and maybe you can convert it to American hours because I'm very bad at that.
It's in about an hour actually. So so the match that will take us home today will really be between So and MVL. That'll be the final big match that Anna and I are covering in several hours from now. But first we have the Brahs and the Gnomes.
Yeah.
By the
way, in this match between the Gnomes and the ChessBrahs, do you think that the time zone difference could be also a slight factor, that for Norwegians this is the afternoon of Saturday and early morning probably for some of the Brahs? It's
a good question. I think some players play better in the afternoon and they feel a little bit of a slow start, right? In the morning they feel like they're not quite ready yet, right? Their brain isn't sharp tactically. But then again, depending on how they spent their Saturday, if Magnus played too much sports, then maybe he's tired. So, you're right. It's one of the most convenient aspects of the Pro Chess League. These guys get to play high-level chess, and we get to watch it from all around the world, conveniently from their own homes, pretty much. But it's not exactly a tournament, Anna, where these guys are in their routine, right? I mean, when Magnus is at...
Yeah, you are right. It's more annoying when suddenly this last round is in the morning. It always happens at every tournament, basically, and that's really annoying. Oh, now it's a draw. The bishop can be taken, and that draw position. And so there we go. It's a lead for the Norway Gnomes, but not as big as it could have been.
Right. Yeah, the 2.5, 1.5 score for the Gnomes is not the end of the world for the ChessBrahs. Not how they wanted to start, but maybe better than things looked. If you've been with us this whole time, thank you for being here. Small break as their next set of rounds is going to get started in their matchup here between the Brahs and the Gnomes. Remind you to follow us on Twitter. Get involved with the hashtag. Maybe get involved in the chat on Twitch and on Chess TV now. You have Anna and my attention here for a few moments if you have any questions. But on the matter of routine, Anna, I think that's interesting, right? Because Carlsen is Carlsen, Caruana is Caruana, but when they're playing in Tata Steel, they have their routine. Magnus wakes up and has his omelet every day. I know this for a fact, right? The legendary Magnus Carlsen omelet. And then he has a little, he wakes up kind of slowly. And so as these guys, they establish themselves a routine, it's don't underestimate it. There's a reason why professional baseball players, right, major leaguers have a routine when it's their day to pitch, and so these guys, they're being asked to play very high level chess games with this convenient factor, but also it's interesting to see that how they react when they're out of their comfort zone. Now we have Caruana versus Tari. Anna, this is big. We have Caruana versus Tari, and we have Carlsen versus Hambleton. These are the matchups that I'm not going to lie, I've been kind of dreaming about these matchups. This is just, I am excited about this. Of course, we also have Hansen taking on Hammer, I believe, if I can find that game. No, we have...
There's so many games going on that we should really scroll through the whole field.
I know, we have... Shapishnikov is taking on Yakov, which is a huge matchup for Chess.com fans. Yevgeny Shapishnikov, sort of a Title Tuesday specialist these days, always performing well, always winning money from Chess.com. We've written that guy a lot of checks. And Yakov Norwitz. Yakov Norwitz is known by so many as, one of the world's best online blitz and bullet players on the planet. And actually, it looks like the St. Louis match has begun, and we have the one and only Leon Beast, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, is playing, and so is Grandmaster Wesley So. So I'm trying to get all the matchups pulled up here as these games just get started, so we have a moment where hopefully we don't miss any massive blunders. But let me know if I'm missing something. There we go. There's Wesley's game. Wesley taking on Remy DeGrave. I'm looking for the final game between Eric Hansen and trying to pull up the final ChessBrahs game here. The one and only King Luke. Is it Luke or Loke? How do I announce that? Luke. I know it sounds silly, but I've never been a stranger to making a fool of myself on live TV. So, all right. So where should we start here? We've got so many games pulled up. I think that given that we have a chance to cover Magnus Carlsen's game, and here he's taking on one of the most popular online chess personalities, the ChessBrahs Amon Hambleton. He might be my personal favorite. Actually, I think Simon Williams is my personal favorite commentator. But Amon is right there, and partly because
I'm also a fan of him and his commentary. I think he's just so cool and at the same time so calm. So I don't know how he does it.
No, he's great. So Amon is taking on Magnus ChessBrahs versus World Champion. Remember, we also have the number 3 player in the world, Fabiano Caruana, right now engaged in an interesting position against Tari. I wonder how much prep goes into these games between these guys, knowing they're playing some very strong players. How much prep do you think they put into the Pro Chess League games?
I think a lot. I think they take it really seriously because this is, after all, a huge match for both teams and also individually, both for Caruana and Carlsen and for So and Vachier. They really want to win that game.
Yeah, and on that note, I just mentioned that Caruana is number 3 in the world. Obviously, we know Magnus is number 1, but that's because Grandmaster Wesley So is number 2 in the world, and maybe there to stay, right? Wesley has been playing absolutely phenomenal chess. If you go all the way back to kind of the midway point of last year, he was an individual gold medalist. He helped lead the American team to gold, Anna. He won the Singfield Cup, won the Grand Chess Tour, won the Tata Steel Chess. He is now in the mid-2800s, and Wesley So seems unstoppable. And on that note, he's also been winning every single Pro Chess League game he's played. So
he's on fire, and he doesn't lose games. Basically, he's unbeaten in classical chess ever since July.
Right. So I think 56 games straight. Right. And in classical over-the-board chess, huge. Wesley So has not lost.
Yeah, that is a long way to go to catch Michael Tal, who is the record breaker in the longest unbeaten
with 90,
streak.
Right?
Yeah, 95 games.
95 games. You know what I love about that stat is I knew that stat, but it actually, a lot of people sometimes claim Capablanca's stat of longest games without losing, but what people don't know is during that streak, Capablanca did not play many games. It was only somewhere in the mid-50s, actually. It was a 9-year streak for Capablanca, but he didn't play very often. But Mikel Tal, despite his crazy style, right, and his very aggressive play, known as the magician for Mikel Tal's aggressive behavior on the board, magical, but he actually owns the longest ever streak of not losing. So that's a cool stat there for the fans. All right, Wesley So is is black against his Migraines opponent. A very, very heavy favorite. This position is weird, though. He's sacrificing the h7 pawn. What's he saying with this, with the move rook to g5?
Yeah, I've just managed to find Wesley as well. Wow. Actually, that's a good question. A very good question.
I mean, he needs to get castled long. He needs to get castled long now so he can have full coordination with his rooks on the g file. But this is a strange game so far.
Yeah, what kind of opening was it? I was wondering how this happened at all. Well, sideline of a Sicilian, and yeah, it all went very strange. So many white pieces still in the back rank, though.
Yeah, a closed Sicilian Grand Prix with f5. Ooh, and Wesley plays a g takes f5 move, which is a sideline. Sort of anti-positional for black to break up the structure here, but he does so with the intention that he's not going to castle over there anyway. He's going to use the g file to attack. So this is a fun one. Must be something Wesley has played before and feels comfortable with because he's playing very quickly. He has a huge center, and despite the being down a pawn, if he can play the bishop out and get castled long, it looks like black's bishops and white's lack of development may actually tell the full story in the end. This is cool. I like it. I've never seen this sideline before. I'm going to play like Wesley So now.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
The other top player, of course, number 5 in the world, Grandmaster Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, is white against Nicholas Rosenthal of the St. Louis Archbishops. What's going on here? I think MVL can gobble up the d4 pawn and absolutely blow things open. If he plays the move queen takes d4 here and opens up, he undermines the knight, and it's a double attack on the bishop and knight. I feel like Black should be doing well if queen takes d4 is played.
I agree with you, and I don't understand why is he thinking what other moves could be options.
I was just thinking, is he considering rook c2 maybe?
Yeah, rook c2, bishop d5, queen takes d4.
Well, all those moves look interesting. It looks like MVL should be able to coordinate the queen and the two bishops.
He can also take, well, no, but I don't like it. I think queen takes d4, as you said.
Seems to make sense, right? Maybe you were just thinking maybe he could take e5, right? Because if
pawn takes, it doesn't help.
But after rook takes, you get this double attack. Maybe that's not a bad idea. Queen takes d4.
I was trying to make it work, but then I stopped believing in it. Maybe it's okay.
Maybe it looks good. I mean, bishop to c3 would allow rook takes c3, and then you win the rook on e5. And if rook to e2, among other things, you have moves like bishop d5, right? Like a big trade, and all of a sudden you bring the queen to g4 or something, and maybe white just gets mated on the light squares.
Yeah, maybe it was good, and I think that's what he was calculating, but in the end he didn't go for it.
Yeah, in the end he did go for the move we initially wondered why he wasn't playing right away, but okay. He had some things to look at. Let's jump over to Carlsen and Hamilton. We have a small time advantage for the world champion, 3 minutes. Not the most exciting chess game currently, right? Kind of a very solid London or Tory approach taken by the world champion with this approach with knight f3 and bishop g5. A very solid structure for white when you get this big old anchor in the center with the dark square pawns. But Hamilton is simplifying the position, trading off minor pieces left and right. Nothing really to write home about just yet in this game. What's going on between Caruana and Tari?
Oh, well, I do like white.
No, Tari's not up a pawn. He's I miscalculated. White has a 2-on-1 over on the queen side, while black has this d5 pawn. So
yes, it was a Caro-Kann defense. It can be easily noted because of the bishop on h7 and the pawn structure. And I think that white is fine. I don't know how much of an advantage this could be on the other hand. So I like how white's pieces are placed, but perhaps it's not that much of an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, initially you look at activity, right? And you see knight here on d4. You see the bishop and knight working together to kind of control these queenside light squares. and this knight on b8 is still on its original square. But you're right. Then you look for concrete threats and you don't see them. Well, there's one idea. Fabiano can say maybe the queen side is locked down. Does he get really aggressive with moves like f4 and g4 and f5, or is that too much?
You always look for some aggressive.
I know. I'm looking for checkmate
king.
attacks. What's wrong with me? Somebody help me.
All the pieces are on the queen side, and you're looking at the king on
I know.
g8.
You're right. And thank you for that. That helps keep me in check, actually. All right. So he plays on the queen side.
The a7 pawn can be hanging in many positions, so maybe that's at the moment a more objective target, and then we could attack the king.
And black has to be careful here because this queen is also sort of peering at the 8th rank, and a blunder would allow a move like queen d8 check and lights out probably very quickly. So black is wait, is he going to allow queen d8 check? Bishop c5? I was just talking about that and felt like it was a terrible decision. Queen d8 check, bishop f8, and then b3, and I'm coming for mate.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I sent Arjan some negative vibes there, and he picked up what I was talking about. I don't like that decision by white at all, by black at all.
No, this is weird.
And the queen can't even come over to help, right? Because the knight falls. So what is he doing on b3 here? And then bishop a3.
I don't know what he was thinking. Suddenly this is trouble.
Yeah, maybe he just literally missed the move queen to d8 as we were kind of highlighting that black had to be careful. But you were right. I mean, I wanted to go for this obsessive checkmate attack, right? That's a problem I have. But queen a5 was much more accurate and actually may lead to a mate faster than anything I dreamed of now because of Tari's blunder. Okay, but we'll see what Caruana can come up with here. But I look at b3. I'm having a hard time seeing black's defense to bishop a3 because of the queen being okay. There's queen to b6, Anna. That was it. I think that's why he didn't play b3 because queen to b6 can attack the queen and still guard the knight. So instead, Caruana played bishop e3, which kind of prevents queen to b6 because among other things, I think there's this move knight takes e6 on queen b6. Really kind of a sweet little mess of it. Queen takes e6, queen takes b8, and white is doing well. Look at that. That's such a strong move by Caruana, right? He recognizes the black is tied down, and rather than being super aggressive, he just prevents black's only real way from untying. Right now, he's really preventing queen to b6, which just makes Tari's life so difficult.
So what can black do? I mean, it's just so a6, yes, but and then?
But even, I think the bishop could probably even move. Yeah, I was going to say, because probably the b2 pawn isn't really capturable here. It's just going to be way too dangerous. There's... What's the next threat? So if queen takes b2, I mean, I said it probably can't be captured. I mean, I guess we should call my bluff. I mean, What's Caruana's follow-up? Is it just queen to c7, as simple as queen to c7 and boomtown on f7, maybe? I think it might just be that simple.
Go for knight e6, bishop c5, or no, I'm dreaming too much. Knight d7.
Now you're playing like Danny, and you don't want to do that. Now you're playing like me. Knight takes e6 is too much, but just queen to c7, I think.
Bishop e7.
What?
Actually, yeah. What shall I do now?
Bishop e7 was played, so there's... Oh, that's irritating. He's going to force the queen trade, and probably as it's not very flashy, right? It wasn't the
we were seeing mate already, and now it's an endgame.
But I think it's exactly the kind of endgame white hoped for anyway. I mean, you have
of course, yeah, I like white, but we thought there would be something really attractive.
we wanted mate. I agree. I wonder if maybe he should have played bishop a4 instead of bishop e8 along the same lines that a move like queen takes b2 might be risky. But now there's no queen c7, so okay. You know, Caruana did his best. He's going to have a small edge in this endgame, everybody, with a 2-on-1. And let's jump back to Magnus Carlsen's game with Amon Hambleton. The world champion versus the ChessBrahs. I mean, Hamilton might be a world champion of his own if hairstyles and chess streaming were a competition, right? I mean, so
Yes,
Hamilton
that's true.
is.
I've seen many comments about that in the chat. So guys, keep those
Yeah.
comments coming, and also any other suggestions and questions as well. Of course, if you have questions.
I'm
He
so jealous
seems
of
to
Amon's
be,
hair. It's out of control. I mean, my
yeah,
jealousy is like,
he's
that's
being
why I make
called
fun of it. What?
the hair god and
Yeah,
the
he really is.
such.
So, all right. Well, he's actually doing really well here. Look at this position. Seems to be terribly misplayed by Carlsen. I mean, how are we not loving black here when the D pawn is the only real positionally weak pawn, and black is the first one on the C file? We could be looking at a massive ChessBrahs upset. As much as Magnus wouldn't want to hear this, probably Amon has more fans for him in the chat right now than Magnus does. Amon is that popular. So, this is interesting stuff.
Yeah, I like that he has no problems. I don't think he has actual chances of winning. And also, he still needs to do something about the a6 knight, but it's certainly a position that I'm sure that he would have signed to have this position against the world champion.
Certainly, right? And probably if we were talking about Magnus being black, we would say black does have winning chances, right? I mean, because this is like a grinded out affair for black. Real quick, I want to remind everybody, because there's been some fans who have been really active with it. You can also play Guess the Move during these games, which is a really cool feature we have on Chess.com. Fantasy Chess Pro bragging about getting 5 out of 20 in Magnus's last game, trying to guess Magnus's moves. So, remember, these are human beings. So the best part about it is even those who are at home watching the games and have an engine running doesn't give them an advantage in the Guess the Move competition. And trying to play like the best players in the world, believe it or not, is one of the best ways to improve. A lot of people recommend solitary chess at home, where you go over the games of top players and really try to push yourself to try to guess what they did. And you can do it live if you just go to Chess.com. I mean, literally, with a free membership, you can guess the moves as all of these games are going and try to play like Caruana and Magnus. So there's my plug. It's actually really cool and fun. I think we're going to do a lot of Guess the Move prizes, Anna, during the upcoming Speed Chess Championship. So
that's
we're
great.
going to be giving away all kinds of fun.
That's also a great tool for learning, as you mentioned. That's the way to improve. Try to think what would you play in this position and such. I think, Danny, you and I are doing the same, but we are not really good at guessing.
Right, we're not. I'm terrible at guessing. Luckily for me, I literally get paid to be wrong for a living. So I mean, that's a rare job, but not everybody has that. Okay, A4 by Amon. Look at him being willing to outplay the best player on the planet. He doesn't play the rook B4 because Magnus will just cement that knight by playing A4 himself. Amon says, I can play like Magnus, and I'm going to prevent your plan by playing the move A4. And now he's going to try to dislodge this knight so he can keep pushing. He just has to be careful not to get his rook trapped, Anna.
Yeah, I was going to say that if A3 can be played by white, then knight D6 is a very big threat. Knight A5, so that he has some squares for the rook.
But this is a good move, again, by Amon, right? Because if A3 is played, he's going to put the knight on B3. Could we be about to see a huge upset here? Maybe. I mean, even a draw, I think, would be huge for Hamilton to not lose.
Of course. He's once again using too much time. Maybe that could be a problem, but so far his play is very convincing.
Well, let's see what else is going on. We liked Caruana's chances in this endgame versus Tari. He continues to flex the 2-on-1 advantage, but I like Tari's improvement. That bishop is much better on C4 than it was on H7. Still, though, this feels like one where the Italian-American Caruana is just going to grind down black here. It looks like this is going to be a really tough position to hold.
Yeah, I see some comment in the chat about Maxime losing. Is that true?
Let's go see. What in the world? Maxime must have blundered.
I can't see him yet, but that's huge if it really happened.
Nicholas Rosenthal for the St. Louis Archbishops coming up with a huge upset. What happened here? Queen takes D4. We loved black's position. Bishop C3, Queen F4. The rook came to E4. I guess this is still maybe, I mean, partly I think sometimes we have bias as commentators looking at the matchup on paper. You're looking at the position and just sort of expecting that Maxime should be winning. I guess we didn't really ever see a concrete knockout for black, and white is up a pawn. but I still just don't really buy it. I mean, what was Maxime doing here? Rook c7, bishop a7. Just this feels like a very precarious situation for the back rank, and that's what happened here. He was forced to give up the bishop for the knight. We have an opposite bishop game, and then he just blundered.
Oh my.
So queen to h5 was just a massive blunder.
So he was 2 pawns down and then he blundered. So
yeah, I mean, but yeah, you're right. He was already being outplayed. So this is wow, huge upset for the Archbishops. I mean, this could be the kind of game that helps them win the match, right? Currently, the Archbishops have jumped out to a 1-0 lead, as people can see above us, over the Migraines, and it's exactly because of this game. How is the number 2 player in the world doing? Okay, just as I ask, how is the number 2 player in the world doing? His opponent resigns. So Wesley So gets me excited to play chess more often than not. I mean, this is an opening that I want to play now as black. He just wins like in a crushing manner with this amazing attack. Look at that, sacrificing the rook on a8, playing bishop to d7 to threaten mate on f1, and white just resigns.
That's beautiful.
How awesome was that? I mean, seriously, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a position where we're almost wondering, is black getting enough counterplay but to justify the pawn? We see the lack of development, but I wonder how much of this was just he just knew this was just going to be easily winning. Not very often you win a game, Anna, by retreating a bishop from f5 to d7 and your opponent resigns on the spot.
Yeah, I agree. You have just sacrificed the rook and then you play bishop d7 with the hanging bishop on d4 as well. So, well, kudos to Wesley. Excellent game.
Right. Well, the score hasn't been updated yet, but the Archbishops, just from the games we're following, are out to a 2-0 lead because of Wesley So's win here and because of MVL's loss to Nicholas Rosenthal. So let's jump back to the matchups of the day, and certainly this one here between Carlsen and Hambleton. Hambleton plays a3, so obviously we're looking at b3, and what in the world is going on here?
I don't get it.
He has to play knight a5,
oh, yeah,
I guess.
Knight takes e5. Yeah, true.
Oh, knight takes e5. You're right. I didn't even see that. So a nice way for black to win a pawn and defend the rook at the same time. Okay.
But white can take on c4 and then capture the pawn on a3.
And certainly that's what Magnus is calculating right now. Is
oh, wait a second. Knight takes c4, a takes b2.
Ah, now that would be fun.
I like it.
Knight takes c4, intermezzo, take on b2. The point, everybody, is that this knight is actually just pinned because you don't want to lose the exchange. And there's some tactics here for the world champion to work through. Now, he's got a big time advantage, right? So, you know, practical factors really matter here. And Amon has held his own as black against the world champion, which is a feat. But he's also had to use a lot more time to do it, right? So Magnus is clearly playing a lot faster, and if this trend continues, we already saw Hambleton, unfortunately, play really well against Hammer and then lose under time pressure, and if he does the same here, that would be a regrettable thing for the ChessBrahs.
Knight takes c4 was played by Magnus, and now Aman is thinking, I really wondered if this a takes b2 is good. I would play it, and he went for it.
I really like it, and after rook b1, he can play b5.
Yeah,
I mean,
suddenly he's playing for a win.
This protected passed pawn just feels so good for black. I think black is playing for a win here, and this is, unfortunately for the world champion, everybody, this is the kind of position that it's not just that he's the one defending, but his opponent is really playing for 2 results, right? It's not one where he's worse, but it's a crazy attack and both sides could blunder, or maybe he has a chance that his opponent messes up. This is a very straightforward position for black to play. Now, I said that last time. I said that Hambleton would be able to do that against, but he plays the move I suggested. Look at that. I love black's position in this endgame.
Me too. And this a3 move with the idea of knight takes e5 was beautiful with 1.5 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, an absolutely stellar find by Hambleton. He probably, you know, would be happy with a draw given the time scenario, and this is still not a really clear win for black, but nice that he has 2 results to play for. Okay, it looks like he might just be trying to head in for some sort of draw. Oh, wait, no, he's going to win the D pawn.
C3. He wants to go rook C4, take the A4 pawn and the D4 pawn.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking.
Rook
He wants
A5.
to...
I
Whoa,
don't like
why?
C3 so quickly. I thought that he could wait with that move.
Yeah, there was no reason to. He got impatient, and if he was going to do it, he probably at least should go after the pawns immediately. Rook A5.
What is he doing exactly at the moment? I don't understand.
I think that he's still going to be able to draw, but I think he's losing his winning chances, unfortunately. And C3, again, just a lesson for everyone at home. Obviously, Amon has played an incredible game, but it feels like a lack of patience, right? This is a protected pass pawn that is not going anywhere. There is literally nothing white can do about it. This A pawn, it's only a matter of time before black goes and doubles up there. So moves like G5 should have been played first. King G7, King G6, King F5. Look to play F6. Black really should have been more patient and played on the king side before playing C3. Hamilton did not do that. I think that helps Magnus's defense a lot because that C3 pawn is going to fall. Okay, let's check over on Caruana and Tari, which may be becoming more and more important. If Caruana cannot win this game, and Hamilton's game isn't going well against Magnus, or at least not as well as it could have been, that would be bad for the ChessBrahs, who already trail by a point heading into this second set of games. Okay, the Marseille Migraines have struck. So it is now only 2-1. We were not watching that game. We can close out of the games we saw finish between MVL and Wesley So. But who won? Let's see. Who won for the Migraines? I missed the game. Okay, we'll get an update on that. But all right, Caruana now exposing some targets on the other side of the board.
This bishop on A8 is just so funny. How did he do that?
How did that happen, right? I mean, I guess from one perspective, he figures, the pawn on B7 is also kind of tying down this bishop, but I'd much rather be the dark squared bishop than I would the bishop on A8. That is exactly what you would tell a beginner never to do, right? That is the worst piece on the board. All right, what's going on between... Magnus is holding his own, will get a draw here, and who knows? Now with Amon really living off the increment, he really wants to make sure he doesn't blunder. So Bacro won for the Migraines, as well as Grandmaster Nuki, who is who is Nuki again? Can we get a name?
Yannick Gozzoli.
Who?
I believe it's
Yannick.
Gozzoli.
That's right. Okay, yeah. So we see, but I don't think Bacro and Nuki won, because otherwise it would be a 2-2 match. So something's a little off with the update I got there from my staff member. But according to the score, it's 2.5, 1.5 for the Archbishops. But all right. So Magnus looks like. Okay, the question is, can he play for a win if he finds a way to get his king active and come up here and sort of pull an umbrella method where the king shields himself from the rain of checks? But the problem for
how do you activate the king?
Yeah, you can't really play f4 because the rook comes to d3 with check, and so this is just a draw. But Magnus wants more than that, given his opponent's practical dilemma of the time pressure, trying to bait his opponent.
F4 now, and after check, well,
he manages to create some freedom. This would be legendary Magnus Carlsen if he found a way to win this game.
If someone is capable of that, then it's Magnus.
Yeah, right now the game has turned to the point where if anybody's capable of winning, it's white. But
King
just
E4,
absolutely...
King F5.
How frustrating is that if you're the ChessBrah, right? He had a drawn ending against Hammer, a rook ending, and probably drawn and lost, and looks like he may lose... Okay, wait.
Oh, look at that! He's going for the pawn in game. Yes, but actually, yes, he's...
It actually
right?
is a draw.
I think so, but yeah.
I believe this is a draw.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Brilliant transition there by Amon.
Well done, Amon.
Yeah, Amon and perhaps Magnus is regretting his decision to allow the king of pawn ending, because
Yeah,
knowing
but just
Magnus,
a
he wants
moment when
to
it
play
could
for a
have
win.
turned difficult for Black, Aman realized that he can go for this pawn endgame. So kudos to the
Yeah,
chess
very,
bro.
very well played by Aman, and this is instructive for everybody here to see. We will get a stalemate, which is a big victory for Aman on paper. I'm sure he didn't want to be in a position where he was the one fighting for a draw, but this is a very heads-up play, and it's why you should know your endgames. It's actually why you should watch Anna Rudolph's videos on Chess.com,
Thank you,
because
Annie.
Anna is currently doing a king and pawn ending series. And, you know, king and pawn endings are two things. One, they are a lot of calculation, but also you have to have a knowledge of all the different draws that are possible, right? And if you just
Yeah.
know that this is a draw, that this is a theoretical draw for Black, because White has no way to transition other than to a corner pawn endgame, then that gives you the ability to play a higher quality rook ending. So part of the reason why you have to know technical endgame, you have to have a database of technical positions in your head, is so you can make more accurate practical decisions under time pressure. It's not just about bragging to people, oh, I know all these hundreds of king and pawn endings. It's really about making higher quality decisions in practical games like this, which Amon was able to do. Real quick, we have to give kudos, Anna. I have to show this. So Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura is currently playing Guess the Move.
Oh,
And he
that's
scored.
great.
He must have only got involved in the end. He only got 14 out of 18 correctly. But the top Guess the Mover for this game between Carlsen and Hamilton was Lethbridge Chess, who scored 37 of 97. That's about 40%, right? That's not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
so Lethbridge Chess, good job. Relentless Vengeance, you scored 18 of 44. You were in second place. So if you're watching the games wherever you are, if you're just here to troll the chat and have fun with us, great. Welcome. We love you. We love the chat. But if you're also here to try to learn from these games, jump onto the Chess.com server and try to guess the moves. Look at this. Look at Tari defending like a beast. Not only that, but he actually
And the draw was agreed.
he was the only one with winning chances in the end, right, with this past D pawn.
Yeah.
But
So what a round. Both Fabiano Caruana and Magnus Carlsen, they don't manage to win. They actually were slightly, well, Fabiano not so much, but Magnus was slightly suffering as well.
yeah, Magnus was in trouble, so it looks like the score will remain a 1-point lead for the Gnomes, because Hansen took care of business. Hammer is about to take care of business. So with Hammer winning against Usetic, and with Hansen winning, but both of our 2800s giving up draws to their opponents. This is a fun finish if he plays Rook takes F5, because Hammer's going to be mating him right as he gets a queen. Okay, no, he didn't do it, but okay. The score between these two heavyweight teams, the ChessBrahs and the Gnomes, remains a 1-point lead for the Gnomes. Let's stay in touch with the other massive matchup of the day. That is the Archbishops versus the
the Archbishops versus the Marseille Migraines.
Yeah, taking a look at Jeffrey Zhang's game here, he is getting going. Shapishnikov, ironically, flagged the legendary blitz Yakov Norwitz, so not very often Yakov loses on time, but Shapishnikov, as everyone knows, is a regular on Chess.com server here. Georg Meyer, my buddy, playing against Richard Francisco, another Bughouse specialist, is Richard Francisco. But okay, I'm looking for the games here between the Archbishops and the Marseille Migraines, but looks like we haven't had the next round start. So Wesley So and MVL are currently patiently waiting. Let's see how Sebastian's doing. That's Grandmaster Lanier Dominguez, in case you're wondering. He is also known as one of the best blitz and rapid players in the world.
Yes, I believe he was a World Blitz champion. Also at the board, not only online. So he's got both the hand and mouse skills for it.
Both the hand and the mouse skills for blitz. Of course, another one we have to bring up just because of his online streaming prowess, the international master Finns, of everyone knows him, John Bartholomew, hashtag Team Scandi. He's playing for his team, the Minnesota Blizzard. Is that their name? I got to learn all these nicknames. There's so many teams.
Yeah, let me help you.
The Minnesota Blizzard. Look at me. I was right. And on that note, I just jumped over to the full scoreboard, everybody, because it's important to take note that we actually have one match already in the books. The Delhi Dynamite absolutely brought the hammer down against the New York Knights. The Delhi Dynamite they seem to be the team of destiny right now. They are just playing so well.
Yeah, they are the leaders of their division. They only dropped half a point, so they are doing great. Leaders of the Atlantic Division. Oh no, sorry, I'm confusing.
I think the Delhi Dynamite are in the Eastern Division, right?
Yeah, Eastern Division.
And we have other matches getting started. The Miami Champions are taking on the Amsterdam Mosquitoes. We've got the Riga Magicians and the Dallas Destiny. So there's so many games going on right now, so many grandmasters playing in the live server currently. We're trying to keep our attention and use these small breaks focused on the biggest matchups of the day, which are really going down between the Brahs, the Gnomes, and the Bishops and the Migraines. But okay, I mean, just as many of these games are really exciting. Let's jump over to some other chess games while we wait for the next round. While we wait for the next round of chess to begin between the Gnomes and the ChessBrahs. Oh, and just like that, first we jump over to the matchup here between Grandmaster Wesley So and Yannick Ghazali, as you said. Grandmaster Nuki, a friend and nemesis of mine, right? You keep your enemies close. Just kidding. Me and Nuki have had many, I think we talk trash often, but we don't really have many good battles because he just crushes me. He's a phenomenal blitz player, but Nuki has sometimes gotten on my nerves. Just kidding. Love that guy. Anyway, so Yannick Ghazali, he's taken on Wesley So. This is currently lots of good Lopez theory going on, but Leon Beast, the one and only Grandmaster, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, is taking on the one and only Ben Feingold. Mm-hmm. So this should be a fun one, right?
Ben
also a very popular chess commentator, Ben Feingold. And who are the other games going on here? I need to find the other games going on between the Bishops and the Bishops and the Migraines.
Yes, we are looking for Etienne Bacro, who is Bucky 83. And
yeah, we're looking for Bacro. I knew that username, but I don't see him listed because there's so many grandmasters playing. He's not near the top. I have to really scroll down. But okay, maybe we'll just okay. Yevgeny 81. No, that's not him. Okay. Well, let's stay focused, I guess, on these.
I think he's like at the bottom. Well, if you scroll down among the matches, and he's like in the last part of the whole list of the 15 plus 2 games.
Right. One of the biggest features we will be working on next year to improve is a much easier way to follow all of the games right at once. So for those of you who are already requesting those things, it didn't take me doing commentary to realize we need to improve that. We've been aware of it, and we are doing everything we can to make sure that next year all the tech you want is even more. So let me I'll use the the tools that everybody should know, which is actually, if you can't find a username or a game, just type /follow and then the username, and so the game just instantly popped up. I should have thought of that before. But he's taking on the man of the day so far for the Bishops, Anna Rosenthal, who just pulled the huge upset over MVL. Now he is playing black against Bacro, so we'll see if the kid can keep it up. Nicholas Rosenthal, Rosensalsa, as I like to call him. Rosensalsa. We also have MVL. So what's going on here in this game?
He?
What?
How old is he, Nicholas?
Rosensalsa, he's, I think he's in his either late teens, early 20s.
Oh.
Nicky Rosenthal. Known him since he was just a wee pup. That's what happens when you teach chess camps. You learn, you get to know all these kids when they're little, and then all of a sudden they're like 2,500 and really, really good. Nicholas is he's only a national master, but he's very, very good and a very good blitz and rapid player as well. Of course, we have this game here between MVL and So, but I think a big game for these two teams is going to be this game between So and Yannick, Wesley and Yannick going head to head here. On that note, the next round of games have begun. We have Hammer taking on Caruana, and Hansen taking on Carlsen. Right, so this is like the final pregame hype before we get to have Carlsen Caruana, and so far we're getting our wish, Anna, because the match is very close between the Bras and the Gnomes.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see what opening we get here. We get a Ruy Lopez between Magnus and Hansen. We have a Queen's Gambit declined. This extended C5 variation between Caruana and Hammer. These guys have definitely got to be going off preparation. You can tell by the way they pause before playing moves like that that they're trying to remember their lines. Right?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, what do I want to play here? And that's always really cool to see players taking these online chess games so seriously and trying to play to it makes the theory and all the effort that Mark Crowther puts into gathering these games so that he can update Twick. It makes it really worth it because the games are valuable things to follow.
So both players are still knowing their stuff. They know what they are doing here, Bishop D7. And in Magnus's game, the usual Spanish by Magnus, not going for the main lines, but pushing D3 on move 6. He likes those variations, and they are becoming the main lines since he started playing it himself.
Magnus is bringing back he's bringing Flexi back. I like to say he's bringing Flexi back, the flexible approach to chess, which is it's really funny because I think for all those of us who've been following chess as professionals for years, you look at the era of Kasparov and Kramnik, right, at the early turn of the century when with computer analysis and so much really forcing lines being played, people were calling for sort of the death of chess, right, by the death of chess via computer preparation. But I think the way that Magnus plays, the way that Wesley So plays also, I think that the way a lot of these guys play now is they're not shooting for the most forcing lines, they're aiming for flexibility. I think I should make a hashtag bringing Flexi back. Maybe Justin Timberlake will go with that. I just made that up.
And I like that they are bringing it back because it would have just so sad if it's all about knowing theory until move 30 and everything analyzed by computers.
Yeah, Magnus is looking for something flexible early and often, so he has the opportunity to outplay his opponents, relying less on what he cooks up at home in the lab. So anyway, it's just fun. Yeah, I think it is a different genre, different style. Of course, we still see really sharp and theoretical games at times, but I like the Flexi coming back. Let's see what's going on here because Leon Beast is quickly putting the hurt on Grandmaster Ben Feingold. Somehow this position simplified quickly, and at the end of the smoke clearing, it looks like White's just going to be up a healthy outside passed A pawn. Am I missing something?
Wait a second. I was checking the chat. You were saying? I missed the game that you were checking. I was
looking at
the chat.
NBL's game with Ben, but that's okay. I'm just going to show everybody kind of where we left, where it seemed that things were pretty equal with an isolated pawn, but actually I think that this move on move 12 by Ben Feingold, knight d5, may have just been a blunder in hindsight, sort of not anticipating his opponent to just part with the bishop pair, but after queen b3, boomtown, Black is just losing a pawn. You can't defend both d5 and b7 at the same time. So Feingold chose to part with the b pawn, but at the end of the lines, it looks like White is just up a very healthy pawn. So I think that move knight d5 was a mistake. What's going on now between Wesley and Yannick?
That was another Spanish.
A Spanish? Am I crazy to think that Wesley should just go grab the a6 pawn? Is that a hanging pawn on a6, or have I lost my mind?
Well, it's definitely something he should calculate. The question is if there are moves like rook b5 trying to trap the queen.
Okay, so Wesley
I think
must
he's
agree with
afraid
you.
of that, so he goes bishop g5.
Yeah, very interesting dynamic idea there, everybody. This move rook b5, and suddenly the queen is... And really, I guess the issue is there's a threat of knight e8, knight to c7, and then the other rook gets involved on a8. So Wesley anticipates this, unlike Danny, and plays bishop to g5, trying to create. He's going to deal with that, but don't ignore the fact that this a6 pawn now has to really be on the forefront of Yannick's mind. not only that, Anna, but if he just parts with the bishop versus the knight, are we just not in love with white's control over the light squares? This is like a positional nightmare for black.
Definitely. And knight maneuver, knight d2, knight c4, knight e3 or b6, and then d5. There you are, knight d5, beautiful outpost. So, yeah, this is really a pleasant position for Wesley.
Yeah, I love bishop to g5. The more I think about this move, the more I think that black is in big trouble here. So if Wesley wins this game, and MVL strikes back, not falling for the upset here, that's going to put pressure on guys like Bacro, who is playing for the Migraines. He needs to make sure he takes down Rosensalsa. But Rosensalsa pulled a huge upset, and he may be doing okay in this game too. This is an unclear position, right? We've got this very weak e3 pawn.
Mm-hmm.
Black has active play, but black is down a pawn, so that matters.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, it's difficult to pull out two upsets after one another, but still a great achievement for him beating Vachier.
Yeah, that was, for those of you just joining us, Nicholas Rosenthal just took down Maxime Vachier-Lagrave in the first game of this match between the Migraines and the Archbishops. But let's go back to the match of the hour, really the two biggest games of the day before we get to the epic Carlsen-Caruana showdown. We got to follow this a little more closely. I probably should be covering it this whole time. We have Hammer playing white against Caruana. So Norway's number 2 versus the world number 3. And then we have Magnus Carlsen taking on the original ChessBrahs, the founder, Eric Hansen. Both games are really just getting started. Part of the reason we weren't covering this as closely as the Migraines, as MVL's game, for example, or Wesley's game. These games are just getting going, still in the opening stages. But what's going on here in this game with Hammer and Caruana? Hammer seems to be pretty comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Kind of comfortable here in the rook ending?
I think he's comfortable at the moment. I don't know if Fabiano will find a way to somehow mess things up. It's not likely, though.
A lot of other games going. People encourage you, if you want to check out how your team is doing. We see a very close match between the Amsterdam Mosquitoes and the Miami Champions going on. Obviously, if you just joined us, we already mentioned that the Delhi Dynamite took down the New York Knights in style. The most lopsided match we've had so far. Tons of matches being played this entire first early half of the day. Anna and I at some point will hand off the coverage to International Master David Pruis and Grandmaster Dejan Boykov, so they will take you home tonight. So, as I said, cancel your plans for Saturday. And again, if you're just joining us, we are currently following not just the matchup between the team here, between MVL and So, but very soon we will have the head-to-head matchup between Carlsen and Caruana. It's all Pro Chess League today on Saturday, Anna. That's all it is.
Yeah, there's nothing else in the world that matters today. So
nothing else in the world that matters today. That is absolutely right. All right. I like the way Fabiano played that. In fact, it makes me think he has better chances now than I originally thought. This establishing c6 and b5.
Yeah, backward pawn. It's true that he has something to attack.
Yeah, establishing c6 and b5, everybody, just really permanently anchors in this as a big problem. And although you could argue c6 is just as much of a problem, it feels like black may have an easier time eventually bringing in more defense of the c-pawn. I'll do like some imaginary chess here just for kicks and gigs. Let's look at this. So if we get everybody doubling up here at some point, I think that black, it's realistic, could bring the king all the way over here to d7, and at some point then sort of switch and be able to gang up on the a3 pawn. Now, does that give black huge winning chances? Maybe not. But it feels like if anybody's in the driver's seat in this close to equal game, it must be Caruana. You agree with me on that?
I do agree. Although you can also draw another arrow for the white king marching to b3 then, and let's see who gets the weakness. But I agree totally. Of course, the a3 pawn seems to be more vulnerable than the c6 pawn. Also, the e3 pawn is a target. So
white has one more positional weakness than black does. So what's going on now? The Carlsen game is heating up. We're seeing an open center, and either Magnus has calculated some opportunity for his tactics to work out. But Hansen has been a magician so far. He was outplayed and almost lost after a dubious exchange sack against Arjan Tari. But he managed to swindle his way out of it. To the end, he was the one playing for a win. So now he's black again against the world champion. We'll see if the ChessBrahs can swindle this. But this looks like a tough position now because White is. What is White's next move? Is White bringing in the queen to d6 now? Queen
I'm
to c7?
wondering what are we missing? 8 takes b5. Maybe first he wants and then capture the rook and then something, or what's the big idea behind this move? Knight c6.
Well, I was looking at queen to d6 as I thought that maybe a trade and a forcing exchange.
Perhaps that's just good enough.
These two knights are just really, really irritating here with all kinds of threats like knight e7 check, maybe even rook e7. So I was thinking maybe Carlsen's preparing queen d6, but I didn't look closely at your tactics. You're right. Maybe a takes b5.
I don't know if it leads to anything, but I was trying to make this work somehow in material because it just feels like the pieces are all tangled up, but I don't see a way to make it work.
Yeah, if there's nothing concrete, then queen to d6 makes sense for White, because if Magnus plays queen d6, noted should be that pretty much Black has to trade queens here, because if Hansen declines that, now the f6 piece is just falling, right? Because White just plays knight takes f6 check, and there you go. So I expect queen d6. We'll see.
Yeah, I think you're right. He will go for queen d6, though he's taking time, and that's interesting. Playing knight c6 first and then starting to think.
Both of the other two favorites, both of the other two top 5 players in the world that are in action today, seem to be on their way. Wesley So is not only much better here, but also a time advantage. This is a very difficult position for Jannik to defend. So can kind of play tickle on both sides of the board, or be aggressive with e5 and open up the rooks to come on the d file. And Ben Feingold has created some counterplay. Like any good, strong player, the practical theme I was highlighting earlier, he's not just going to sit tight and let MVL grind him down with the extra pawn. Ben desperately tried to create some counterplay, which he did on the light squares, which is good, but probably MVL should still be winning this pretty easily with accurate play.
Yeah, but at least, as you said, this bishop got to f3, so he has some hopes.
Well, moves like d5 come to mind here just because it prevents the bishop from going anywhere. And if the bishop can't move, that means the queen can never move. But maybe he just wants to sit tight. I mean, the d-pawn isn't really being threatened, really, because rook takes d4 is met by things like rook takes f3, I think. Yeah, I was going to say, so maybe just a4.
Yes, that's what he did. So,
yeah,
indeed, what you were saying, that the d4 pawn is not really hanging.
Right. And so the problem with your black in these positions is as dangerous as this looks, and as much as you love the idea of the light squares, if you don't have a next move to improve upon it, you're just sort of stuck. And maybe White just starts marching the pawn down the board, all the way down to a7 if nothing changes. So we expect the
you know why
from
he didn't
Manila,
want d5? I've just realized, he will never push d5 because then Black can go queen h5. So that would be the only way to threaten mate. But with the queen on c5, it will never happen.
That's a great point. In fact, good to point out my potential blunder for all the education of the fans, that d5 would be the one way White could mess this up because of queen h5. Now Black is able to threaten checkmate and keep a defensive eye on the bishop here because the queen can't trade anymore. So very good note there, Anna. And that's
F5,
why Ben plays
look,
f5.
He wants to go queen h5.
Yeah, he's in love with this idea, but f5 is risky for obvious reasons, right? You start looking at moves like queen e7. You look at queen to c7. No, but okay, if queen e7. And Black goes and takes on d4. Seems to be possible for Black. I don't see an immediate
Queen
knockout
b6 was played.
Queen to b6 was played. Okay, that's a better move than my suggestion. Same idea, to attack the rook and put the queen in a position where she can maybe attack the light squares. But MVL's idea is better than queen e7 because now rook takes d4 remains impossible due to rook takes f3 overloading the queen's defense. So that was queen b6 is a very good move. Okay, Wesley So continuing to grind it out here against Yannick. Let's jump back to the big matchups. The rook ending is becoming a little more than just an ending. This is really getting tactical between Caruana and Hammer. I love this.
Yeah, now the rook swinging over to h7, threatening mate on h2.
I love it. Counterplay, aggressive stuff.
Yeah, who cares about the a3 pawn anymore?
Okay, so if this Caruana Hammer game continues to be wild and unclear, what's going on between so what happened here? So he didn't play my queen to d6 idea. He did. He played queen to d6, and after trades, Magnus got exactly kind of the position I thought. I think, yeah, this was the idea. The knights are just really problematic. Black has no moves with the rook. But will it be enough for Carlsen? He continues to kind of squeeze the position tight. But lack of concrete knockouts, right? I mean, Hansen is defending. And so these knights are aggressive and nice, but what's White's plan here? What is Carlsen's plan?
That's a good question, very good question. I'm not sure what's the answer. Rook d4, I like. So he has to do something by bishop g3. And this means that you will never really move the d6 knight. Also, the e7 knight is a bit weird. You can go back to c6 always, but what's next afterwards?
But I guess along the question of what's Magnus's plan, Magnus would probably counter that with how many more moves can Black make, right? I mean, like this knight on f6 is sort of stuck because there may be checks like knight e8, things get weird. You can't move the d7 knight because of bishop to e5, I think, in a lot of positions.
Yes, maybe that's what he is aiming for, actually. You are right that Black has less moves, less good moves than White.
Yeah, Black has less good moves. And note, everybody, the g-pawn is sort of frozen because obviously you can't open up the f5 square. So Magnus is trying to slowly improve and keep Black in the bind that he's currently in.
They could repeat moves here, but I don't think that Magnus wants to.
Well, this is a big game. I mean, obviously we're waiting for the epic matchup to bring this showdown between the Brahs and the Gnomes to a close, and that'll be Magnus and Caruana coming up really soon. But their inability or ability to beat the players they should beat really is it may be what decides the match, right?
Yes, definitely. They play 3 other games, so.
Okay, well.
Yeah, this Eric is still defending very well, so I think he was inspired by Aman. The two are very good friends, and they both want to defend and potentially get half a point from the world champion.
And remember, because of the colors, Carlsen will get Black against Fabiano. He has had White 2 games in a row. He failed to win with White against him on Hamilton. So if he fails to win with White again a second time, it's just got to be a huge victory for the ChessBrahs just to hold a draw against the legendary Carlsen.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't see his plan being any dangerous. Knight c8 and then what?
Yeah, I don't know either. Jumping back quickly to a result we just had in the matchup between the Bishops and the Migraines, the Bishops maintain their lead in big part again because of Rosensalsa, the kid. He draws against Bacro.
Wow, well done.
After beating MVL, and this draw is maybe going to be huge. So far Rosenthal has held his own against the Sharks. It only gets easier from there. After MVL and Bacro, Rosenthal slowly works his way down to eventually playing against the Migraines board 4 as well. So Rosenthal so far a big hero for the Archbishops today.
So he is basically just scoring 1.5 points against a rating average of 2,700.
Phenomenal games. Ben is making this hard. I just jumped back over here to the game between Feingold and MVL, and Ben is not going down quietly here.
Nobody wants to go down, it seems. They are all fighting so well. Rook f6, rook h6 could be a plan, so he's always aiming for this h1 square, either with the queen or with the rook.
Yeah, and MVL has to constantly be careful.
Yeah, he had to prevent queen d1 check, so that's why he goes queen b5 to play queen f1. But I don't think that this is any easy. Maybe he even can lose this.
I was just about to say he should play queen e2 and then sack the exchange. Yeah, he's going to sacrifice the exchange on e4, and he does it. Wesley did take care of Yannick Gozali, Nuki, as he is known to the Chess.com fans. Wesley So continues his dominance in the Pro Chess League, winning his last 6 games, but no surprise there. He hasn't lost in, almost 8 months in over-the-board chess either. So,
he's really in shape. Queen takes out. After the trade of queens, this should be
That's got to be a huge problem for White. Yeah, I think that Ben must have calculated the dangers of allowing the exchange sack or f3 coming, but this is a huge concession. I mean, now the likeliness of White winning this game is much, much higher. Okay, so let's jump back here between Caruana and Hammer. Whoa, we're about to get maybe everything petering off and just to a quick king and pawn ending, because...
Oh!
But if the queens come off the board, who's winning in that king and pawn ending? It looks like maybe just a simple draw.
I think it will be a draw because you can't really cross, but look at that. They are both trying to make the other capture the queen so that the pawn structure would change. Or
yeah,
the king
favors them slightly, but unfortunately for Caruana, that's not going to be enough.
Yeah, it doesn't change the result.
Now, either h3 or king g3 are both actually just draws, but king g3 feels more accurate, so play it first.
This is a draw. What about Magnus's position?
Yeah, so I guess as we were criticizing Magnus's inability to come up with victories against the lower-rated players, Caruana has also failed, giving up 2 draws to the Gnomes. But the difference is that Caruana had black in both of those games,
and he will have white against Magnus.
And he will have white against Magnus. So, but then again, the Gnomes are also up a game heading into this round here, right? So we are about to get get what we wanted, get what the people are paying for. the big matchup, Caruana and Carlsen. And that game will come to an end just in time for us to move on to MVL So, actually. So it'll be really fun to go back to back to see 2 games between players of the top 5 in the world.
So MVL has won already, and
yeah, MVL just won, taking care of business here against Ben Feingold, who fought hard after dropping a pawn out of the opening.
So Darius Schwartz won for the Archbishop, so that's 1-1. And Nuki, well, yeah, that was a draw also. I'm trying to count how is this round going for the Migraines versus the Archbishops.
It looks like there's a 1-game lead in that as well, so it's very close on both of these big featured matchups today. The Archbishops holding a 1-game lead over the Migraines currently. But what's going on here? We have Magnus wins the f7 pawn.
Oh, how did he do that?
But he, I'm looking at the move rook to d2 coming here for, rook to d2 hangs to the bishop. I was looking at how to undermine the knight on d6. There's no way to do it, but he only managed to win that pawn because Hansen won the a pawn. So not so simple here.
Yeah, and it doesn't look so threatening unless he can also play bishop h6, rook g7, something very quick.
Yeah, bishop h6 and rook g7 actually looks really strong, and it kind of forces
look at that on g5, and if bishop takes, he wants to play knight e4.
Yeah, I was just saying he has to go for this, though.
But rook takes d7.
He loses the d7 knight in order to make that happen, and continues to be kind of in trouble with a potential net around this king. So it looks like Carlsen might be getting the winning chances that he wanted.
Yes, I think this is already this should be winning for white unless we are missing something.
Yeah, it looks like bishop takes g. Whoa, so what's going on? Why not? Oh, was there...
Did we miss something? Knight e4 I thought was the idea, but...
Yeah, maybe if bishop takes g5, knight to e4. Maybe there were some threats on f2. I don't know. I feel like I'm having a hard time keeping up with the tactics here.
h4, well, even like this, of course, with rook e7 playing h4, just keeping everything solid, rook cutting the black king on the 7th rank. This knight is annoying on d6, it can jump to f5. So white is definitely dominating.
Yeah, the mating net is really the big problem. Not the trade of the a pawn for the f pawn, but the opportunities it creates for white to attack the king here. I'm being yelled at by Hikaru Nakamura on Skype, who's telling me that we missed a win.
Oh.
We missed a win for Ben Feingold in his game versus MVL.
Oh, thank you, Hikaru.
Well, don't thank him too much. He's usually being mean to me during the show, assuming I can multitask a million things. But we'll say Hikaru tells me to wake up. Rook b8 was winning after the move queen to b5. Where was the... Okay, so on move 34... so Ben played rook f6 instead of the move rook to b8. And the point is, it's an ultimate deflection, because if the queen takes on b8, everybody, queen to d1 check, and queen over here is mate.
Wow.
That would mean that if rook to b8 had been played and the queen had to retreat, rook to b1 would have been winning. Wow.
Beautiful.
So... amazing potential turnaround there. Ben defended like a machine, like a genius against MVL after losing the pawn. And thank you to Hikaru for giving us a heads up that there was a potential opportunity for a big missed win there. Rook to b8, very, very nice combination. Too bad for Feingold, he's not able to find that, and with it, kind of helps the migraines get back in show. But that would have been a really rough start. Can you imagine? If MVL
I see Ben in the chat mentioning that position, saying what he missed, and Maxime responding in the chat. So it's great that the two are discussing the game.
Yeah,
actually.
No, it's amazing, and it would have been a really rough start for Ben. I mean, so far Rosenthal has been kind of the hero of the day for the bishops, taking down Maxime in the first round. But if Maxime had lost 2 in a row, that would have been painful, right?
Yeah. Maxime is saying that he missed rook b8, and so yeah, they both missed the idea.
Yeah. Well, very, very exciting stuff. Magnus Carlsen does take care of business against Hansen, which does put the Gnomes that much closer to potentially taking down the ChessBrahs, because Caruana was unable to win against Hammer despite being favored in that match. That means that of the two super grandmasters of the day, Carlsen and Caruana, Magnus has a slightly better record and puts the Gnomes in the driver's seat. But we're about to get Caruana Carlsen in just a few moments, so don't go anywhere. It will be starting in just a few moments. Cannot wait. The crowd will go wild. So where does that put us in terms of the migraines and archbishops? With MVL able to win that game, that means the migraines are within a point of the bishop. So they're within striking distance. But given how Rosenthal has played so far against the super GMs, and now he's going to be playing lower players, I mean, I would be favoring the bishops at this point in the match.
Yeah, also Wesley So winning basically all of his games.
Wesley So never loses. He may never lose again. In the words of the great and late Emery Tate, we miss him, but I'll never forget what Emery told me after he had a really great performance at the World Open. I said, "What are your plans from here?" He said, "First of all, I plan on winning every chess game I ever play." That's what he said.
That's a good plan.
Yeah, well, and I said, that sounds phenomenal. That sounds like the right plan. And in classic Emery Tate style. Anyway, but Wesley So plans on winning every chess game he plays for the rest of his life. So that's kind of his plan.
Or at least not losing them.
Let's take a look at King Luke's game, just because I love him to death, and we haven't given him much love. He's playing against Tennis Master, which is cool. I mean, it's cool to be a tennis master. What's going on here? We got a weird Taimanov Sicilian or something. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I was right about that. But what happened early? It seemed okay. Something weird happened. Maybe just a straight up English attack. Black not playing the A6 move, but gets D5 early. This is typical Van Welly. I feel like he manages to get these weird Sicilians.
Yeah, all the time.
The way our screen overlay, it looks like I'm coming into your room. It looks
Oh,
like I'm coming into your room because of the
there's just an
overlay
ocean
here.
between the two of us, but it's all right.
It's a green screen actually. I can go into your room and reach and get my bottle of water over here.
Want some?
There you go. All right. So what do we got here? We're waiting for the final matches between the Brahs and the Gnomes to start. There should be a remaining game too at this point between the Bishops and the Migraines. We'll wait for that. Let's check in on Jeffrey Zhang. Obviously, we mentioned him in the pregame as a rising American star, playing very, very well. Looks to be in the driver's seat in this game here against International Master IMDBX. I forget who that is. I should know his name, but I like knowing people by their nicknames anyway, so I don't remember who he is, but it doesn't matter. He's IMDBX.
Well, in
Sounds like a
esports,
rapper.
this is the way it works, so we should know their handles and not their real names.
That's true. That's true. And so he sounds like a rapper to me. Also the other very, very strong players playing here today where we started, Grandmasters Alexander Lenderman and Robert Hess, trying to help the Montclair Sopranos jump back in it. But if we switch over to their screen, they still trail the Movers by 2.5 points. So this is a huge, huge matchup right here between the Sopranos and the Movers. Robert Hess again down on time. I think if Robert was assessing himself, although Robert has always kind of gotten under time pressure and he's always kind of denied that it was a big issue in his chess, but Robert, you're in denial. You have an issue with time pressure, buddy. I think that's been the biggest issue in his games so far. He might have even came back and won that game where he lost his queen if he wasn't under time pressure.
True.
And here he's in a little bit of trouble once again under time pressure against Grandmaster Depati. How's Lenderman doing against...
Rook takes... Oh my. So rook takes d1, knight takes g6 check, and...
Which game are we looking at?
Oh, sorry, I'm still counting pieces in Robert's game because I was like, what happened?
Oh,
So
he did manage to win 2 pieces for the rook, actually. Yeah, I
Yes,
miscalculated
yeah.
that. Well, that would be huge because despite the time pressure, if he's able to win this game, that helps the Sopranos. And then you've got Lenderman versus the second of Anish Giri, Gujarati. Lenderman also in the driver's seat against Gujarati. I mean, maybe that's going to be the tale of this one, right? The American Grandmasters unable to get it done early, Anna. But if they win these 2 games, the Sopranos jump back against the Movers big time.
And for the Movers, that would mean that they cannot dream of the playoffs anymore. So they
Right.
badly need to win all 3 matches, including
Yeah,
today's.
they're basically fighting for their lives right now at this point at week 5 in the season. The Movers are. The Sopranos, as we said to start the show, if you missed our pregame, are 3-1 in the Atlantic Division, so they're doing well. And if they don't want to lose this match, this would be an upset if the Movers won. But if they come back here, if Lenderman and Hess take care of business, and just like that, wait, what happened? Hess blundered.
Did he?
Look at that.
Oh
So
my.
rook to d4 was the key instead of the move rook takes e1. Wow.
Oh, okay, so it didn't work as nicely as it seemed.
Yeah, we are, unfortunately, it's asking a lot of us to see all the tactics super quickly. But again, I think we could argue that time pressure was the issue for Robert because despite that blunder, if he doesn't take a6, there's still something to do. But under time pressure, he takes a6. And
and then another tactic, bishop takes and queen a5, so double tactics.
Well, queen a5 should have been played immediately even. After bishop takes a6, right?
Yeah, actually.
I think Depati just missed the win right there, right? I mean, that is...
Yeah, well, it was still winning, but you're right, he could have played it a move earlier.
Yeah.
Well, still a painful loss for Robert.
Painful loss for Robert, a painful loss for the Sopranos, and as we say that, look at the scoreboard. It's officially updated with a win for the Movers. because of this loss, despite Lenderman's game with Gujarati. And Lenderman will likely go on to win this, but it's not going to make a difference. The movers take this match home. On that note, the Odisha Express have just beaten the Blizzard 9-4. So as we patiently wait for a track to explode on, hashtag Eminem, we are patiently waiting for Carlsen Caruana in just a moment. But we watched those matchups come to an end. We're watching Lenderman continue to play this game here against Gujarati. So, all right. Well, exciting stuff. What other game do we have to look at?
There are just so many. I think King Luke's game is always attractive because of his playing style and also his attitude. It's not only the opening choices, but simply his attitude. He never wants to draw. I played once in a pair with him, and I was like, okay, look, now our position is just completely draw. Let's offer a draw. And he was like, draw? Never. So yeah, even in a dead draw position, we couldn't offer a draw.
I love that. That is King Luke. He looks to be doing well here. I feel like if I had to pick, I'd kind of like Black's position. There may be a simple positional simplification coming here, Anna. Like, depending on how White guards the C2 pawn, there may be ideas where Black just puts a piece on F4. Like, you can even trade on E3 and then sink the knight in, given that the queen defends it, a very, very strong outpost square for the knight. But actually, even after bishop E3, I'm starting to think, does Black have moves like rook to D8 here and sort of overloading the queen and her responsibilities of having to guard the E3 bishop? So maybe we don't even need something positional if you're Black.
If rook D8, what can you do with the queen?
Yeah, I guess you can take A7. It's like your only move, right? If rook D8, you can't go to E4 because now we really skewer the queen and bishop, and it's just over. And maybe White can get away with taking A7, but that would be awfully gutsy.
I wish I could play after queen takes A7, B6 and make it work, but I think you have rook takes D8. If not, I was dreaming of the intermediate move bishop takes E3, but anyway, my rook will always be hanging. I think it never works. But it would have been pretty.
Almost. Wait, can you take on D1 first? Maybe?
And you have to take back with the king if you want to prevent this idea.
Right. Which is just, that just seems terrible. So because the idea, everybody, by Anna, really kind of a cool trick is this move B6, cutting off the communication between the queen and bishop. And the point is that Black has an intermezzo after queen takes C7, you take with check. Oh, wait, but in the end, it doesn't matter because you can't take back the queen because rook D8 is mate.
Back rank mate. Yeah, no, I thought this is too nice to be true.
Okay, so he goes for the positional idea we sort of talked about. He trades on E3. I expect him to put the knight on F4, and I think Van Welle is in the driver's seat here, which the Mosquitoes need because if you look at the scoreboard, it's a close match between them and the champions. So they need their best players to win when it matters. Let's go over to the matches that are just getting started again for the other big matchups. Archbishops versus the Migraines. Wesley So is now taking on Bacro. Wesley So is white against the legendary Bacro, and we have MVL taking on the winner of the recent Millionaire Chess tournament held by Maurice Ashley. Unfortunately, probably the last Millionaire Chess.
That's such a pity.
But which is a pity. It was a lot of fun and kind of a great try to get more money in over-the-board tournaments. But we got online chess. Let's just get more money in online chess and we'll be happy. So, but okay, this is a big matchup here. Grandmaster versus Grandmaster. It's the same as against Bacro and So. These are big matchups. Big matchups here. What else do we have?
I'm trying
so many
to see
Grandmaster
if,
matchups. I'd have a hard time
his
choosing.
Game, but not yet. They should be starting like in a minute.
Fabi and Magnus are starting in probably less than a minute. We are ready. I already have their games followed. So if you're just joining us for this match, you've also missed a great show. Shame on you. But I also don't blame you. It's a Saturday of Pro Chess League madness. Big games. right after the Carlsen matchup that we're about to see will be MVL versus So. So right now, as you see on the screen, we have Maxime Vachier-Lagrave taking on the second board for the Archbishops, but he plays Grandmaster Wesley So next. So don't go anywhere. The biggest matchups of the day are starting, and here it is time to focus on where everyone wants, Carlsen, Caruana. If these guys draw quickly, I am going to chew them out on Skype immediately.
Good plan.
We have played this up. If they're allowed to ping us at the last minute and inconvenience my workday to join the Title Tuesday, then I'm allowed to bother them with complaints about a quick draw. Look at this G3 and E3.
What a preparation by Fabiano.
I mean, in the end, all it is some sort of obscure ready, right? But a strange move order to
audience
play
is asking
G3
whether
and
it was
E3.
a mouse slip, but I think he did want to play this actually.
No, yeah, I don't think it was a mouse slip, but you're right. That was it's a strange move order to say the least. Double Fianchettos, double the fun. So we'll see. Both sides, unlikely or ironically, as we've seen them, I think, play more mainline theory when they were playing the lower-rated players, right? We saw Carlsen play his flexible Rui Lopez. We saw Caruana play something more theoretical with Hammer, but here they're really mixing it up, not going into their preparation with each other here, just playing some sort of obscure move order.
Mm-hmm. It's strange that they go for it because, as you said, this is what they would play against lower-rated players. But maybe they are just so bored of playing against each other all the time that they wanted fresh ideas.
Yep. Well, depending on what happens in that matchup, I mean, the other big one in this battle between the Brahs and the Gnomes is the Hammer versus Hansen match in the finals. But the Brahs are... wait, is it really tied? The Brahs won both games on the lower
6-6.
board.
This is what we wanted.
This is exactly what we wanted. So as we talked about, Carlsen having a half point better against the lower rated players in the match, but as compared to Fabiano. Last round, it looks like both of the lower boards, which means Amon Hambleton and Usetic, both won their games, which means that the ChessBrahs tied the match. It is a 6-6 battle. So Carlsen and Caruana, your game matters here. This is fun.
It matters a lot.
It matters a lot. And especially for the Gnomes, who I think are even in more of a position, they need to win this match to really keep their realistic playoffs alive. They're not eliminated, but I think that the Gnomes have a lot to fight for here. So we'll see. Wait a second. Is Carlsen hanging a pawn?
What? Oh. But then he must have done it on purpose.
I don't know what the idea was, but it looks like he played... I mean, after c4, he quickly played knight e4, but after takes and takes b5, I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I'm puzzled as well, but I was hoping that he has a plan.
Well, we'll see, right? I mean, this is huge for the ChessBrahs. If Caruana wins this game, given the way the ChessBrahs have played on the bottom board so far, you would have to like their chances to win the match. So, a very strange approach, although it's very Benko Gambit-ish now. Anna, right? I mean, it's not that simple, right? You've got pressure here on this diagonal. There's a pin.
Yeah.
Black is going to play the move Queen A8 next move, which is a double battery. You have the Queen and Bishop battery, and you have the Rook and Queen battery.
Yeah, I see that Hikaru said it in the chat, actually, that this is the idea, but he's not a fan of it.
Okay, so Hikaru confirms that this must be Carlsen's idea, but thinks that maybe it's a little dubious. We'll see. Carlsen maybe wants to create winning chances, so he's looking for something dynamic, fighting for his team's hopes. We certainly hope so, that these guys are here to play for the team, and he's not going to let this game be a quick draw. All right, so back to this other game. What do we have here? We have a Berlin. The boring game is happening between Hansen and Hammer, right? Boo for the Berlin.
Okay, let's switch.
Let's switch back. Let's try to analyze this Carlsen-Caruana game and see if we can figure something out. I'm so excited, though. There's so many games to cover. Like, I also want to cover So versus Bacro and MVL's game.
Yeah, I know. This
MVL looks like he's...
every week, Danny. It's just that there are too many good games.
Too many good games. So we got to focus on the top two players here. But it looks like MVL is in the driver's seat against Schweiss. All right, Carlsen completes the plan of queen a8, but where's the long-term compensation? This is very much like a Benko gambit.
Mm-hmm.
I expect Carlsen to play the move rook to c8 here, I think. No, knight to
Knight
b6.
b6.
He's going to play knight to d5. Knight to b6, he's going to play knight to d5 and then knight to b4, I think.
Hikaru is saying that black is fine, so we should agree. And thank you, Hikaru, for helping us. Congratulations on the Gibraltar Chess Festival. 3rd time in a row and 4 times in total. I think that's just huge.
Hikaru, you're getting a lot of love here in the chat and on the show. The move rook e2 played by Hansen should be noted is the same idea that Carlsen played against Karyakin, if we remember.
Oh, you're right.
This legendary rook e2 rather than the rook going back to e1 immediately with the sole purpose of sort of creating a weird imbalance. But in that game, if we remember, Sergei Karyakin played the move b6. Mm-hmm. But in this game, Hammer plays the move that I think many people thought was maybe the better move, just straightforward rook to e8 and simplifies. So Hansen taking one out of the Norwegian World Champions book, but Hammer, who's been known as a second for Carlsen, plays the better approach for white. For black, kind of funny.
I see Lawrence Trent is also here, and he's saying that Fabi is trolling with e3.
Yeah, maybe. But what's going on here? Maybe it works out, but suddenly black has the bishop pair and is maybe winning back some material on the a2 pawn. I'm kind of liking Carlsen's counterplay. I'll be honest, I'm loving it. I mean, but I'm trying to sound unbiased. I'm loving this idea. He's going to take a2, and now the queen has to go to d1. That just doesn't seem like a good idea. I mean, I guess theoretically, because the bishop is hanging, the queen doesn't have to go to d1. You could also play something like queen to c4. If black takes, in the end, white is going to win back material. But still, it seems like Carlsen's bishops and the battery on the a file is really dangerous.
Well, so in the end, this was a really cool idea by Magnus, sacrificing the b5 pawn.
Yeah, either that or Fabiano missed some sort of approach. But from a rapid game perspective, I agree. I like the practical idea. Sacrifice a pawn, get a lot of counterplay. You have to love Carlsen's 2 bishops here. So much so that I expect Fabiano to play a move like knight e1 as soon as he can and try to trade off the bishops.
I think he will do that, yeah. He has just
right
played
on that
knight
note,
e1.
he does that. But I think we still love black, because after the trade, if black just goes and gobbles back the pawns one by one, b6, falling first, it seems that you have to like black's chances here. This would be huge. I mean,
saying that it's equal, but it will be 0-1. That's his guess.
Yeah, well, that would be a safe guess, given that most equal positions Magnus Carlsen plays, he wins. But yeah, I agree. It seems like the trend is heading the direction where black is. I mean, to me, if the b6 pawn falls and white doesn't do something to change the dynamic of this game, so many inactive pieces, you have to love black's chances, because the b3 pawn is only going to be easy to gang up on. It's isolated and alone. But this would be huge. We were just highlighting that Magnus is probably, in the defensive mindset, being black against Caruana, given that he missed his 2 opportunities with white.
But he's not. Probably he was even more bloodthirsty.
Yeah, well, and if Hikaru was right that Fabiano was trolling with e3, maybe he'll regret that idea of not going for something a little more theoretical. Yeah, I love Magnus' chances
Feingold
here.
in the chat, and he's saying that he won a game. Congratulations, and we are sorry for the missed rook b8 move against Maxime. That was a brilliant attack with the bishop on f3.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Rook b8 move.
Feingold created a ton of counterplay there, almost from nothing. So, but that means if Ben wins, then yeah, as I look at the scoreboard, as he said, the bishops regained their 2-point lead. I guess if we're assuming Wesley So takes care of Bacro, but maybe that's a big assumption, because for the first time, Wesley is down on time. And with black here, doesn't look to be, positionally, white has something to be desired, but white's also up a pawn. But how is MVL doing against Schweiss? I think I think these matchups between the top grandmasters are going to decide who wins between the bishops and the migraines in the end, which is what we want. Just like this game, just like the ChessBrahs Gnomes matchup. Okay, this is definitely worked out for Magnus as far as the pawn sack goes, but will there be enough winning chances? First job is to surround and win the b pawn.
Yeah, actually, Hikaru predicted that already a couple of moves ago, that this pawn will fall.
And so what's the most straightforward thing? Queen to b7, queen to a3, or find something else to improve while white has to defend that. I sort of like the straightforward idea of bringing the queen to a3, but I guess rook c8 check, king to g7, we get a trade. Maybe with material coming off the board. Yeah, Carlsen doesn't like the idea of losing his battery on the pawn, so he tries to avoid the rook trade. I guess maybe his plan is to bring the bishop to f8, avoid the trade of the rooks, and then look to maybe increase pressure of the b3 pawn.
Could be, yes.
This is almost too high level of chess here. This is like not my expertise. We're actually trying to figure out what the best players are trying to do. You know me. It's bad jokes, awkward 80s references, and butchering accents. That's my thing. So actual chess analysis. This is a little scary.
Luckily, we have so many grandmasters in the chat, so many stars. Hikaru is still here, Ben Feingold, Lawrence Trent, I see. Thank you guys for being here, and also, of course, the chess fans. You don't need a title to tell us your ideas. So
that's right.
Tell us anything that you want to tell us in the chat, on Chess.com, on Twitch, on Twitter.
I'll be interested to see the guess of the move winner after this. Yakov Norwitz asking what's the match situation. It is tied currently. So every game in this ChessBrahs versus Gnomes matchup is proving to count, which is giving us exactly what we ordered. And I love when we hype things and it turns out well, because this is really coming down to the wire. All right, well, I think Carlsen should still look to guard the 8th rank threats and then go after the b pawn. But maybe the point of the bishop being on d6 is it holds the c7 square, so that moves like queen to b7 are possible without this sort of idea coming into play. Rook to c7. Okay, so Carlsen still has to show his worth. As Hikaru said, the position is probably about equal, but expects Carlsen to win. But right now, Fabiano is defending well. What's going on in the other game that may decide it? So the Berlin is
it's still boring.
They're putting on a show in regards to the most boring chess game these two players have ever played.
Let's switch to Arjan's game. I think that's
Hansen
a lot more exciting.
Yeah, let's bring in Arjan Tari's game. As I go and look for that, he's taking on the legendary Amon Hambleton. Now this game is going to be a mess.
Yeah, wow. What's happening after queen takes g7? I was going to ask king e7.
And if bishop g5, the move must be bishop to e5, followed by some idea of trapping the queen.
I guess that's what he wants. That he doesn't really have other moves after bishop g5.
Yeah, I mean, it's only move, but this is unclear. I mean, if you're kind of the underdog in the match, you sort of understand Hambleton wanting to play something really sharp. This is going to be a fun game.
Yeah. Ammon, who already drew with Magnus Carlsen, and now he's messing things up against Arjan Tari, the other Norwegian star.
Well, I guess we should probably cover all 4 boards for the matchup here between the Brahs and the Gnomes.
Yeah, this is deciding the match. So.
Yeah, I mean, it may come down to one of the games we didn't expect. As I pull that up right now, National Master Elias Usetic. Okay, so this is a weird French. Something went wrong here. So let's ignore them for a little bit and go back to Magnus and Fabiano. Okay, well, a massive simplification happened while we were gone. Let's back up and see what that was. Fabiano figured out a way to trade off the pieces. Okay. Magnus tries to create the mess of it by destroying White's kingside, but likely just not going to be enough.
Yeah.
He will push this on, so...
Definitely. And this pawn structure, I mean, you can barely choose a worse pawn structure than this one for White, but unfortunately for Magnus, he doesn't have enough pieces.
Yeah, it seems like a success there if you consider the fact that Caruana was about to be forced to buckle down and play defense on the b-pawn for a while. Despite the ugly pawn structure, I agree that this seems like a successful transition for white. Okay, well, suddenly the Berlin doesn't look so boring, right? Because of that game. But no, I was wrong. It still looks terribly boring. So let's go back to Mont Hamilton versus.
Yeah, that's the most exciting game of this last decisive round between the ChessBrahs and the Gnomes.
Yeah, this is so he gets bishop e5, and Tari has to figure out, is he all in an attack? Because if he is, there may be ideas like put a rook on e1, and then try to look for moves like knight to d5 check. Right?
Wow, that would be huge. But does he have time for it if rook g8 comes and then rook g6? You just go back with the queen to h4 and
yeah, well, no, you have to be a little careful. I mean, okay, like if rook g8, queen h6.
Yeah, but wait a second. Black can play h6 first, and then he's really threatening to trap the queen.
That's a very strong idea coming, yeah. And that would force.
Then you will take on f6, and you come back
right,
with
but
the
that's a successful transition for Black, I think, to get the bishop pair there, and the ability to continue the attack on the king side.
He's going for it anyway. And after h6, bishop takes f6, bishop takes knight d5. You already, but then queen takes d5. Yeah, it doesn't work there, does it?
Yeah, queen takes d5 would get Black out of the mess. But this tactic of the knight coming to d5 has to be something on White's radar.
Definitely.
To try to open the e file and take advantage of Black's setup. So and Tari plays rook e1, so that's nice. We get one guess the move of the day. He plays rook e1 and knight to d5 is coming. Yeah, the more I look at this idea with knight to d5 and the lack of a concrete threat for Black, the more I'm liking Tari's position. It's looking dangerous.
It certainly does, and once again, Aman is going down on time, and this is not an endgame where he can just go and make silent moves. Here, he really needs to calculate a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a tactical fest, so you don't want it to become a blunder fest. So what's going on the board 4 between these two guys maybe will come down to something that decides the match, but still, I guess a position where White is doing fine, the young 15-year-old talent from Norway.
14-year-old, I was told that he's even younger, so I was corrected that he's 14.
14, okay. Well, unfortunately, Caruana and Carlsen isn't quite the fireworks we wanted. It may still be critical, but right now looks like Carlsen's going to have to come up with some sort of creative idea to get winning chances here. Not enough to attack.
Not really. He would need to bring the king, but with queens on the board, I mean, Perpetua is always in the air. Queen h1 was played, but...
Well, I guess there's an outside shot that White might get himself in a mating net. If Black can get h5 and then queen to g1 check, there's threats of queen to g4.
Oh, actually, yeah, that would be a very nice idea, and White can never exchange queens, because this pawn endgame is just horrible.
I don't like this move by Fabiano. He's not actually threatening anything. Queen to b7 is guarded by the queen, so what's his idea? What if Black just plays h5 here, as I was calculating? And now there's suddenly threats. There's threats of queen to g1 check.
Yes, I think you are right. I'm puzzled by this. Queen b3, h5, yeah.
Magnus goes for it. Here we go. There's threats here. Threats of check on g1 and then queen g4. It seems like Caruana is getting himself in trouble here. Or we underestimated the potential difficulties of defending this broken structure for White with so many pawn weaknesses.
Oof.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for White. The more we look at, so he plays queen b5, and he's clearly headed into d7 with hopes of a perpetual.
Okay, so that's why he went queen b3 to play queen b5, queen d7.
Aha, this is creative. He's getting the king where he doesn't want to be. And one of the ideas is maybe that he can. I'm always curious in some of these endgames whether there's an idea where you just like run your king out and invite the checks by the white queen, but eventually your king takes some pawns and finds safety. Magnus finds a way to actually win this pawn and guard the check on d7. That's kind of brilliant. Well, as usual, Magnus ends up finding a way to play equal positions for a win, and as usual, Hikaru Nakamura's right and I'm wrong. Hashtag story of my life. Somehow it looks like Magnus may end up winning this game in the end, and maybe leading his gnomes to victory.
Yeah,
This is
and
what I
look
was
at that, he's
anticipating.
bringing the king. Of course, then he will actually manage to shield the king. He can go back with queen d7.
I think this is the idea this is also instructive, I think, for more than beginner players, I guess, but this idea where you see that sometimes the instinct is that you want to keep the king tucked away in the corner. You're nervous about bringing the king out. But in a lot of these queen and pawn endings, the way you eventually win is by accurately calculating the opportunity for the king to come out, allow the queen to get a bunch of checks, but eventually you find a more active form of safety, and then you win the endgame. Also note that if you have a more active king, it makes queen trades a lot more possible if that happens. So I think it's instructive to note that sometimes you win these queen and pawn endings by being a little more aggressive with your king and not just trying to hide it and tuck it away and eventually falling for perpetual. Okay, on that note, of course, he's probably going to bring his king back. No, he's still finding a way to... I think Carlsen should try to put the queen on d5 and do something like this and try to bring the king out. No, he doesn't feel like the time is right.
I'll check quickly what's happening on the other boards, but you can stay with this one. Oh my god, knight d5, Ariane. It was taken with the queen, so the... Oh my. Who is losing what in Ariane Tari's game? Maybe we can switch for a quick moment.
Oh my gosh, wow, that is awesome. Look at this queen sack by Hambleton. The point, everybody, is that now when the queen moves to... Oh, wait. Wait, no, it's black to play. He's just taking the queen?
Yeah, but the bishop is also hanging. And then what? Who is doing fine here?
Everybody's all pinned up.
Yeah, if d6, then bishop takes f6, intermediate move. So he doesn't lose material.
Uh-huh. Well, and white has to be really careful here. I mean, we have a date with destiny on g2 if you're the rook and the bishop. This is a very common... This is a way you would blunder away this game here. You have to be careful of rook takes g2.
Yeah,
well,
so
and if time is telling us anything...
It will be still a pawn up when black captures the d5 pawn.
Tari has taken a lot of time here, so Hambleton is no longer in his under time pressure spot. That's a big change for black. Very helpful.
Yeah. Oh my! I can't count pawns, so this. All right. Okay. He can actually win back the pawn. Yes, I think now that we have been commentating for, I don't know, 3-4 hours, I already cannot count pawns. I don't even add up 3 plus 1, 3 plus...
At least it takes you 3 or 4 hours. I can't calculate from the start. Let's go back to see what's happening here. Okay, Carlsen goes for what I said it should be happening, but maybe it was enough to give a perpetual. He's probably desperately trying to figure out a triangulation with the king that prevents Caruana from getting perpetual. But this is the kind of thing I think at some point black has to try to win. So we'll see if Carlsen can get to safety. But let's keep looking at this Tari game. Okay, so rook g8 and f4 are played. Is h6 an idea here? Just play h6 and try to force your way through on the g file.
I like this idea. Bishop takes and king takes. The pawn is hanging on g2 and then bishop takes d5 is also next move. I like it.
I guess you also we have to calculate bishop e4 by white, which might both defend g2 and d5, but okay, I think that, so this moment here is critical, both sides taking whatever time they can, Tari getting a little bit of a time advantage again.
Yeah.
Feels kind of cool to see Hambleton justify this really crazy way of playing, but maybe Tari just missed a win. We don't have the luxury of seeing what an engine thinks.
H6 was indeed played. So once again, you guessed the move, Danny.
And he did it. All right. Well, H6 was played by Hamilton. Carlsen finds a way to eventually block the checks with the queen. That's what you're going for, but will it be enough? Black is gonna Okay,
Yeah,
he
bishop
wants to
e4,
win.
just as you mentioned. So
Carlsen
white is
wants to
better.
win.
White is keeping his extra pawn.
But I guess black has a draw at least, no matter. I mean, okay, he can bail out with a perpetual if you're Carlsen, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, yeah, black can take on d5, and the g2 pawn will always be hanging. So this is still not
okay,
that bad,
they
is
drew
it?
though. They drew. A simple agreed to a draw. Carlsen recognizes doesn't want to play any
Oh,
further for a win and lose. We got to give some of the Guess the Movers a shout because there were a ton of title players playing Guess the Move too. The chat is moving too fast. I can't even keep track. We got Titus in there, Penguin Ninja, 47 of 95 from Titus. That's pretty good.
wow.
You should be 2,800. Just kidding. You should be 40% of 2,800. But no, so some fun. A lot of people getting involved in the Guess the Move challenge, which is kind of cool. All right, well, if these two players drew, that means it leaves us right where.
Yeah, right where we were. Aryan Tari's game is crucial. I want to see if the Berlin brought anything exciting, but well,
Yeah,
it's
well, the
better than
Berlin
before. It's better
it's
than
more
before.
exciting than before, and Hansen has sort of created a position where he might have winning chances with a much more active king compared to Hammers. You have to be really careful about how simple these positions look in terms of being close to a draw, everybody, because if you make the wrong trade, like if black trades rooks, white just instantly is winning by entering with the king and having much more activity. So I think at first, to begin our eyes, like, oh, this is boring chess. But now you have to be very careful here because one mistake will lose the game. All right, well, what happened here? Tari managed to simplify his way out of the tactics and is probably a little bit better in this rook ending.
Yes,
Maybe
he will.
much more than a little bit better, actually. The D pawns look really wretched.
And what is happening on board 4?
Board
Oh,
4.
Goana has just won.
Okay, well, that's a huge win for the ChessBrahs because they may need it. I think Tari takes down Hambleton. What happens if we have our first
Goana's
tied match?
for the gnomes, and wait a second. Yeah, that means
what happens on a tied match?
for now they just share the points. In the playoffs, they will have to actually decide the game, but for now they can actually get.
So a tie in the regular season will count as a tie, everybody. But in the playoffs, there'll be blitz and eventually Armageddon playoffs. I was hoping we had a blitz playoff between Carlsen and Caruana today, but I was
coming soon, but not at the moment.
Okay, so the ChessBrah Elias Usetic strikes first. Caruana and Carlsen drew their game. This match is coming down to two big games. Noted should be that MVL did take care of business against the board 2 opponent. Wesley So is still involved in a dogfight here against Bacro. This is not very simple at all. If Bacro manages to hold this draw, then the Migraines have worked themselves back into the match after falling behind early to the bishops. Although not sure how Rose and Salsa is doing. We'll have to check on that game. Okay.
So what are you predicting in the match between the ChessBrahs and the Gnomes? It's a 1-up for the Gnomes.
I'm predicting that Tari wins this game against Hambleton, and that Hansen and Hammer draw, and that we have a tied match, unfortunately.
No.
Boring as that sounds.
The Gnomes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm confusing. Yeah, you're right.
I think as boring as it sounds, it seems like the most likely match result.
Somehow I always think that Gala plays for the Gnomes.
Yeah. Well, if you look back at the score, I mean, obviously you see Hambleton's draw with Magnus Carlsen is a huge result, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, and that's assuming, of course, we see Tari take care of business here against Hambleton, which I think he will, given both the time pressure. Hambleton is just living off the increment here, about to lose on time. And he's probably losing in this rook ending, I mean, with best play.
So that will leave us with the game between Hammer and Hansen.
Hammer and Hansen. Unfortunately, it comes down to the Berlin. Oh, man.
It always comes down to the
It
Berlin.
always comes back to the Berlin. Ugh. I feel like the Berlin is like my Newman from Seinfeld. Newman! Berlin! Ah. So, all right, well, Hansen is showing some good Canadian technique here. I mean, normally they're right behind America in terms of the worst technique. But Hansen is showing some decent technique here, some solid Canadian technique. He's pressing.
Yeah, and with this isolated pawn, that's actually the main problem of black, that he has this d5 isolated pawn, which is a weakness in the endgame, and his pieces are passive. The f7 bishop is worse than the f3 bishop. Also, the rook is passive.
Yeah, and again, like any trade will greatly favor white if white can enter in here. The king is just so much more active. This rook on the e-file is really keeping this king out of play. Okay, but all that being said, aesthetically, when you first look at it superficially, you love white. Every single one of white's pieces is better than their black counterparts. But then again, where's the win?
Yeah.
Like, where's the progress, right?
By the way, Wesley So has just won against Etienne Bacrot.
Wow.
So.
Wesley So coming through in the clutch. He was not supposed to win that game. But he did.
It seems that he only draws or wins.
Wesley doesn't lose. I knew he wasn't going to lose. As I said, Wesley So doesn't lose. But
what happened in the game? Well, what went wrong for white?
Well, it looks like he managed to create access for his king on the dark squares. He targeted the queenside pawns. No, I guess the king just entered with d5, and then the e pawn was faster than the g pawn. Just good old-fashioned family fun right there. That is just the e-pawn running up the board. And then he puts white in zugzwang. The threat of knight e5 check.
Yes, and then pushing e2.
Well, no, I think the idea is the knight comes into d3. If knight e5 check, does he just block the bishop?
Exactly. You're right. The bishop has to leave the f1 square, and then knight d3 will block the bishop.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That is
very well played by Wesley once again.
Wesley So, once again, coming through for his team, making sure that the bishops take a 1-point lead into the final matchup. We're about to see if he can hold his own against MVL, though. That'll be fun, because if
So is winning all his games, not only this week but the previous week as well. He's basically on 100%.
Yep.
Wow.
Look at this. Hansen striking with f5. The whole point, everybody, is that if bishop takes, white takes on d5, and there's no win of the bishop because of c4, and I think that this is a winning endgame for white based on the really, really strong king. That means Hammer has to take with the pawn, which is what just happened, and look at Hansen. Hansen comes down to the Berlin. Newman! Berlin!
And the Canadian endgame technique.
Oh, and the good old-fashioned Canadian endgame technique. You thought those two things were oxymorons, but it turns out you can say Canada and endgame technique in the same sentence. That's right. I love how many evil tweets I'm going to get from Canadians right now. You don't know what you're talking about, whatever. I just literally made fun of myself for Americans being worse, all right? Calm down, Canada. Canada, America's hat. All right, bishop d3. No, seriously, though, I think Hansen is going to win this game. And with that...
I think so, too, and that will win the match for the
That's going to be a
ChessBrahs.
shocking... Wait. He has to go back bishop e2 now. Yeah, I think bishop d3 was a little bit of a waste.
Ariantari has won, so that ties the match, and it's all up to Eric whether he can win it.
Eric playing for the win, hoping to lead the ChessBrahs to victory right here, right now. It's exciting. It didn't come down to Carlsen Caruana.
He wins the whole match. There's 2 points for the team.
Well, the Dallas Destiny have taken care of the Riga Magicians. I just saw that go final. They dominated there, so that's impressive by the Destiny. Okay, Hansen is all in now, though. This is it. I mean, this is huge because he's sacrificed a lot for that H pawn. Is Hammer going to get enough counterplay?
Oh, is this right? How he did it?
I don't know. I don't think either one of them knows it's right. They're just living off the... Look at the time pressure. Okay, but White still has the driver's seat. White has the more active king.
Why didn't he go bishop e6, threatening mate on g8? I don't understand.
I don't even know. Yeah, I think he was probably... I think Hansen missed a win earlier, but he's still winning here. I mean, I think the b7 pawn is falling. I think Hammer is unfortunately going down. And with it, the ChessBrahs putting the Gnomes really up against it if they win this match. The Gnomes are really up against it in terms of getting into the playoffs. I think it's time for Magnus to play every match from here on out if they want a chance. So Hammer hopefully hears that call. They need Magnus. Okay, well, Hammer putting up some valiant defense here, but there it goes. That's it. With that right there,
Rook c8, and
I think Hammer will resign momentarily, and the ChessBrahs, in super exciting fashion, are taking the victory here. Wow, wow, wow.
Ooh, Eric Hansen winning the match for the ChessBrahs.
Absolutely, and it didn't come down to Carlsen Caruana, even though we started covering that game. The winning Guess the Mover was Grandmaster Jack Snipe, who many know as Benjamin Bach.
Wow.
The Grandmaster Benjamin Bach was super active in Guess the Move, and he was the top guesser playing like Hammer and Hansen combined.
Kudos to Benjamin and kudos to the ChessBrahs for beating the Norway Gnomes. The Gnomes are now at the risk of not qualifying for the playoffs.
They are at the risk of not qualifying for the playoffs, just as you said, and we are at the risk of missing the exciting start here between MVL and Wesley So. So we will do that first to remind you, everybody. So that means the first huge match of the day, Carlsen and Caruana, goes to Team ChessBrah. The head-to-head matchup was a draw, but the ChessBrahs take down Magnus Carlsen's Gnomes. Now we are about to see the thrilling finale here, of at least in terms of the biggest matches we were hyping. MVL, number 5 in the world, taking on Wesley So, number 2 in the world. Right here, right now. We see the score has gone final above us, Anna. The ChessBrahs took down the Gnomes, 8.5, 7.5. Okay, it's a very similar situation here. The other matchup was tied heading into the finals. Here the Bishops have a 1-game lead. So, you know, this matchup here between MVL and So could decide things. Let's flip the board to see it from So's perspective.
What do you think of their avatars, by the way, especially, I mean, Wesley's? Do you think it helps that you have
I think Wesley just loves cats. Just a big cat lover, that guy. MVL is, I think he likes showing a picture of himself when he was 15. No, I'm just kidding. He's probably 17, seriously. But yeah, we need to talk to Wesley about his picture. That's a pretty poofy cat. Look at this. Similar to Caruana Carlsen. Weirdness out of the opening. So what are the other big matchups in the Bishops versus Migraines, everybody? Of course,
yes,
we also have
get all of them. It's Dario Schwiertz versus Etienne Bacro.
Yep.
And the two other boards, Nuki versus CCSCA, Ben Feingold.
Taking on Yannick Azzoli. This will also be a big game. So we have Feingold versus Nuki, as he's known to the fans. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave versus Wesley So. And then Rosen Salsa.
Rosen Salsa versus Remy Degrave, the son of Grandmaster Degrave. So he's got a good trainer at home. He played Bishop G5, weakening the dark squares. That's a good idea. Rosen
Salsa under some pressure here. So he really set the tone for the Bishops. If you're just joining us, where have you been? You already missed Carlsen Caruana, but Maxime Vachier-Lagrave lost the first game for the Migraines to Nicholas Rosenthal. So Rosen Salsa was kind of the hero, but we'll see if MVL can redeem himself, maybe handing Wesley So his first loss in like what seems like 7 years. So if he can beat Wesley So, I think he'd redeem himself.
Yeah, I think he will be satisfied if he does so. This is a slow game, so I think we should maybe first see some of his teammates and then go back to the Wesley So game.
Nuki and Ben Feingold have a big game. Yannick Azzoli versus Ben Feingold. One, a legendary Chess.com trash talker. The other, the 40-year-old GM. They both have reputations that... Never mind.
Sorry.
All right. So where are we headed with this?
So back to chess.
This is a weird position here. I guess white's just a little better, but it's one of those positions where honestly I don't like either side. I don't want to be black or white here. I hate this position. So boring. But maybe black's a little worse, lacks a little bit of coordination with the king being on g8. But it's weird because, I mean, as long as the king sits there, then the rook is on the h-file, and that prevents any sort of aggressive counterplay because black will just probably be okay with taking. So so it's a weird one. What's going on here between Bacro and Sweers?
Knight h7. What is he doing actually?
I was that a rhetorical question? I have no idea. I have no idea. I guess he's bringing the knight from e7 to
understand
g6.
It. Queen f6 or bishop e6. What? Queen f6.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of ideas. I guess, I mean, you can bring the knight from e7 to the king's side. You can play bishop e6, and if there's a trade, then obviously you've opened the f-file. So, also knight on h7 maybe prepares h5 in some positions.
It could be, actually.
h5 and
h4? To trap the bishop. No, this move, the more we talk about it, the more I like it.
Yeah, actually, I agree. The more we talk about this system, the more I like Bacro. And if we look at the time, I like Bacro even more, establishing a nearly 4-minute time advantage. Okay, so this matchup here, we just saw the ChessBrahs take down the Gnomes in exciting fashion with winning a game that came down to the wire. We have all 4 games pulled up for the Bishops and the Migraines. Let's check back in with the two Super Grandmasters. Kind of a boring one right now, but white definitely a little better here. I mean, So has established a space advantage on the queen side. Small advantage to white at this point, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think this is boring. It's just so great that they have to play against the others as well. So we saw really exciting games when they faced the underdogs.
Yeah, I know. It's almost more exciting when they face the underdogs.
I know, I didn't want to say it, but...
No, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think it's always exciting when you see Carlsen,
we are not judging them. It's just that their strength is so close that it's not easy to create an interesting position.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, well, here we see Gazzoli and Feingold, both sides launching unorthodox king walks. Sort of a weird king position for both sides. Probably we still prefer white a little bit. We like the b file space. Looks like white can kind of put pressure on both sides of the board, the b file, and maybe pretend to break through with this. Whereas black is really passive here, and I think black lacks a clear plan. Would you agree? It's hard to see what black is doing.
I do agree, and as you mentioned before, even if the king is placed on h7, it's still, yes, you managed to place your king in a safe place, but the rook is still not doing anything. So either way, he has to activate somehow the pieces.
Agreed. All right, let's see what's going on between Bacro and Sweers. This is another big one. I like this move d4. I think it's a principled way to try to take advantage of somebody who's opened their king. I mean, one of the things you have to remember, classics, right? The basics of chess. Your opponent overextends their own king side. The most principled way to take advantage of that is usually to open the position. And so Sweers plays d4, and he's sort of saying that he's willing to sacrifice this d-pawn just to open up potential lines against this black king. So I like d4.
It's very instructive.
Yeah, whether it's a good move or not, I'm not calculating. I'm just saying I like d4 for those principled reasons. All right, what's going on with Rosen Salsa? He's still worse, but he's up a pawn. So DeGrave, as you said, son of Grandmaster, he's up a pawn, but feels like white maybe has some potential attacking chances, like h4 and h5 are coming. I kind of like white's position.
Yeah, his pieces are active, so he's definitely having compensation for the pawn.
Word. All right, what's going on with So still? So still just a big old simplification. Neither side really playing a very risky plan. Perhaps from So's perspective, being white against MVL, knowing that his team is a full point ahead in the standings, right? He's in the driver's seat, so why not play a straightforward, simple idea?
Yeah, that's another factor. You're right that since they are leading, he doesn't really need to take risk.
Right. Right. Well, solid chess by So. No surprise. Probably this game heads to a draw. I mean, this is about as boring as your grandma's attic. There's nothing good to find up here. Let's just go back to another game. As much as we love MVL and So, let's look for a game that might decide the match. Look at that. Look at Black castling by hand against Nuki. I love it.
That's nice. That's nice. How many moves it took?
It took way too many, right? and the last few moves completed. King H7, Rook F8, King G8. I think he did that literally just so he would have an example to show his students of what castling by hand is. I think that's why he did that.
Well, luckily in closed positions, you have time for it. So he actually maybe took 10 moves, but he managed to castle this way.
It still doesn't change the evaluation to me, though. I still feel like White's in the driver's seat. Maybe he should focus on doubling on the B file and look to do something on the queen side.
Yeah, I agree that since White has the semi-open B file, it's an advantage. And also, I didn't like the G6 knight. It was not doing anything. So he's trying to maneuver this knight to somewhere more useful.
Yeah. Always have to be afraid when you put a knight on H8 that you may never get it out. But yeah, I think he had to risk it. All right, well, this game with Bacro and Schwierz, I think, is going to prove to be one of the more exciting ones. I mean, White takes this principled approach and opens the center, but right now Black's pieces are definitely looking really dangerous. This is the D4 pawn is hanging, so White has to find a way to deal with that. No, he doesn't. He says, I don't care. He says, if you take D4, I take B7. Eye for an eye. Seems that way, right?
Yeah, I think that's what he's aiming for.
I like White's approach. I love D4. I thought it was nice. It was exactly the way to take advantage of this G5, Knight H7, and this is going to be a wild one. I guess the biggest disadvantage for the bishops in this game is the time, right? White has half the time that Black does.
Yeah, though if he takes on B7, also the B2 pawn will be hanging afterwards, so... I like that the position is opening up and the king on H8 will be vulnerable. But also, if Black could trade pieces, especially the queens, then he will be just more than fine.
And maybe now he goes after the B2 pawn. I guess Rook B8 is probably met by queen to D5.
And then Bishop B2.
Yeah, I don't know. I was maybe Rook B1, and the position is just opening up in a way that.
Yeah, maybe it's still decent.
Feels really, really dangerous there. The emperor has no clothes, as they say. Has to be very careful. Okay, well, the boring game between So and MVL unfortunately remains that way. But it doesn't mean it's over. There's still some chances, maybe that.
Bishop C5. Finally, suddenly something happening.
Oh my gosh! What is that move? Right as I call boring, it's like the universe just always wants to smack me in the face.
Look at that, Bishop C5. What a breakthrough!
Wow. Wait, is he winning this line? If pawn takes,
I guess he calculated
B6 right
and
away.
how do you stop it? Knight D6 is met by D takes C5.
Knight D6, D takes C5. He's just winning.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh my gosh. The Wesley So strikes again. Bishop to C5.
In a position that we have just given up on.
Move of the week candidate right there. Wow. You know what the best move is here? C4.
What is it?
C4. Seriously, I think he can sack. Yeah? I think he can sack the. Now he has two minors for the queen. And this is not that easy to win for White, is it? Maybe it is, because I guess he still has some flexibility with E4. But I think I bet you Maxime plays C4. I think the only way for Black to stay in the game is to sack the queen.
Yeah. Well, at the moment he must be really upset and probably swearing in French, and then he will go for C4.
Which is quite the sight. I don't know if you've ever seen a Super GM swear in French. There's like 5 things like you should have on your bucket list. That's one of them. So Yeah, I think Maxime is really beating us up. And MVL is didn't have his best day today. He already lost the first game, but if he loses this game to So, Wesley So is he is on fire right now. Okay, well, I think you have to go for the C4 idea. But I think White is just winning. Yeah, I mean, honestly, after C4, you can even play bishop takes G6 check, intermezzo, then play B7. And, okay, it's going to take some time, but the queen will just undermine the D pawn, look for E4, and as the position opens up, the queen will easily outplay the two pieces. My first thought was that that might be a shot, because sometimes the two minors, if all the pawns are on only one side of the board, can hold their own against the queen, as long as there's not too many targets. But in this position, there's too many open lines that the queen would be able to attack, so I don't think a queen sack is going to hold on for MVL. So a very, very nice combination by Wesley So, and he will look. It looks like he's about to go to 4-0 and lead the Archbishops to another match victory.
Yeah, 4-0 together with last week. That's 8-0.
Yeah, and I don't even remember what his results were before Tata Steel, but since he won Tata Steel, we'll just say that Wesley So has won every game he's played. He's pulling an Emery Tate. He's in the process of pulling an Emery Tate right now.
So what's happening in the other games? Because that means that
I was just looking
French
at the game
players
between.
need to win at least 2 games.
Yeah, I'm looking at the game between Gazzoli and Feingold. I think Gazzoli is still much better. So I think, for the migraine's sake, I think Gazzoli is going to win this game.
And board 4 might decide the whole match then.
Right. It may come down to Rosensalsa, but Rosensalsa's defending.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we compared this position to the one I was evaluating just a few moves ago, where White had, really good control with the queens and knights, and then, I was anticipating, I think Rook D4 was a terrible move. Okay. He should just keep the pressure where it is and play H4 and H5 and look to launch an aggressive attack. I mean, H4 and H5 instead of the move Rook to D4 on move 21.
Then he dropped the second pawn, so
yeah,
this
Rook
could
to
be a
D4
tie.
was just a big mistake. H4, H5 is just too slow. I don't think there was any reason to play Rook D4.
Yeah, by the way, Maxime played C4, going for the 2 minor pieces versus the queen.
Okay, so that's what I thought. MVL plays C4, but I just still don't think it's enough, even though I think it was the best practical chance. See, what he needs now is too many things, not enough time. He needs the pawn on E6, the pawn on F5, and get the knight to a solid square, right? And then the two pieces can hold the queen. But I don't think MVL has enough time for that. Maybe he does. Can he play F5 here? And then if queen, then knight F6? Does he... Maybe this isn't so simple.
Yeah, according to Hikaru, he needs too many moves in order to make this a fortress.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that he needed too many moves. But now I'm looking at this, and what's the idea? I mean, maybe Hikaru can answer, but I don't see E7 falling. The knight guards all the squares, so this looks actually really tricky for black. Hikaru watched me blow a queen versus 2 pieces position firsthand versus his older brother at the high school nationals. As Hikaru looked on and judged both of us, constantly judging our moves. But Hikaru will remember that one. But I think that black does kind of have a fortress here. This doesn't seem so simple.
That's what Hikaru is saying, actually, that he missed F5 and now fortress ideas are alive.
Yeah. Okay, H3 and G4 is correct, but I think that this is like how I blew the win versus your brother, Hikaru. # you're welcome.
He's saying queen.
I did go on to win the nationals that year. I beat Lenderman in the last round, for the record, despite blowing that game. But but it was very similar, queen versus 2 pieces. Actually, it wasn't very similar, but it was the same idea. Queen couldn't beat 2 minors. Okay, if MVL holds this, then at least it was a heads-up play. But notice that Wesley has a lot of things going for him here, because without E6, the F5 pawn is never solid, which means the king is stuck. But okay,
basically all the black pieces are stuck.
I'm going to ask a fun question just for the sake of asking. Even if black loses the E7 pawn, can he still hold in some cases? Can he just sit with the bishop and the knight? This isn't so simple, right? I mean, okay, I'm sure White is winning there with the right long-term approach.
And
Oh
he
wait,
has
is
won
MVL
already.
just
He
resigned?
just played King F1 and Maxime resigned.
Why?
So you see, this is our level of chess and that's their level of chess.
But why? What's the? I think Maxime might have resigned out of frustration with his own play today, to be honest.
Maybe.
Unless, okay, is there something that where Black just doesn't have any moves here? Like if knight e4, we have queen e6 check, and then you have to come back and lose the e7 pawn, and maybe now it's just a matter of time. You know.
Well, even Hikaru is surprised by the resignation of Maxime, so maybe we
Yeah,
are
because
not
look at this.
that
Even here,
stupid, Danny.
if he plays knight e4, he can just go back and forth. Anyway, the point is this king will make a journey. I guess at some point this king comes around, and surely there's winning chances for white. But I think this position was far from resignation. So
Yeah, that's what Hikaru is saying, that it must be winning, and by maneuvering the king and activating the white king, it should be winning, but resigning in this position was just too early.
Okay, well, thank you for monitoring the chat, because I can't. That's why I didn't see your comments, by the way, Carl. Anna's on the chat now. Now she's there you go. But I think MVL is just frustrated, Anna, with his day, honestly. I think he was just upset.
He lost 2 games.
But with that, that puts the pressure. Yannick Ghazali must win now versus Ben Feingold, which now it's not. Wait a second. Feingold is up a piece. Ghazali blundered, so now.
Wow!
And the chances, I mean, White's not going to win this position. I think we can call this match for the bishops.
How did he lose the piece? I want to see it. Oh my, there was a queen d4 check, and then it's a fork.
Wait a second, but does he have to take? Couldn't he have played king e2 instead of queen takes d4?
Yes.
I saw this because this was the last position we were looking at. And I saw queen d4, but I thought he could just play king e2. And, like, there's no moves here for Black that win anyway. So he just blundered.
Why did he take it? It's so obvious that those 2 pawns are too strong.
I don't know. I think he maybe misevaluated. I mean, the knight is a very good piece here. So that was really a big mistake by Yannick there. Just not the day for the migraines, it seems.
This is so puzzling why he took on d4.
And Rosen Salsa is going to take care of business here. So in the end, a very, very close match looks to be a runaway result
for the archbishops.
Yeah, because I think Rosen Salsa wins this game. Right now he's calculating. I think good idea because I think rook d2. Oh, I was going to say rook d2 right away, but rook d1's even better. Now he'll play rook d2. Yeah, this was much more accurate, everybody. Rook activity in the endgame is much more important than the pawn because you're going to win that pawn anyway. So Black brings the rook to the 2nd rank. That's a very strong idea by Nikki. So I think Rosen Salsa wins. I think Feingold wins. And I think the bishops win this match by upwards of 4 games, right?
Yeah, they can just score 4-0 in this round.
Wow.
Well, Dario Schwiertz is not. It doesn't look like he's winning, but it could be anything. I guess he should not be. He should probably be losing, not winning. But anyway, this position with just no time on the clock for White.
Yeah, Schwiertz looks like maybe he'll go down. So it won't be a clean sweep for the bishops in the last round because with less than a minute and this attack to defend, it looks like Black is in good shape here.
Yeah, but they were up a point, so it's more than enough for them to win the match.
For sure. Yeah, they're gonna end up winning by 3 games then instead of 4. But yes, seems to be clear. Well, if the bishops take this victory, let's take a second to check over in the overall standings, as certainly there have been a ton of games going on that we have unfortunately not had the human capacity to cover. Maybe someday computers will just do the commentary, Anna, and not humans. Because then computers could probably multitask all these games. But jokes aside, the Penguins take down the Nomads. The Movers pull the upset, keeping their playoffs alive. They take down the Sopranos. Big win there. The Dynamite continue to be Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
The Express take down the Blizzard. Cobras winning over the Yodas. And the Inventors winning over the Stormbringers. By the way, Gorky Stormbringer, if I had it to do over again, is what I would name my first child. I love Gorky Stormbringer.
Really?
Seriously. That's just a phenomenal name. Like Gorky, first of all, that's a place. Okay. Second of all, Stormbringer. That's awesome. Like, you know how celebrities name their kids, Soda Pop? I would have named my kid Stormbringer. All right, but the big matchups, if you're just joining us, you missed the big fireworks. Shame on you. Obviously, we're seeing that Wesley So took down MVL, but Carlsen and Caruana drew their game. However, it was Caruana leading his ChessBrahs to the match victory over the Gnomes. The Gnomes are facing elimination. The Destiny are dominant. They beat the Magicians. Snowballs beat the Kings. And the Champions take down the Mosquitoes. That's Hikaru's team. Hikaru wasn't playing today, but they won without him, so that's good news for him.
Yeah, and Hikaru played so many matches already, so he's a very dedicated player and for the Miami Champions, but he cannot always play. And the other players, I mean, what we were explaining, that you should always have all 4 players not having more than 2,500 as a rating average. So you should really do the maths when you actually do the lineup for the team.
Yeah, no, it is. Managing a Pro Chess League team is. Look at this. Okay, but isn't it? This is just a fancy way to trade pieces. In the end, White's just losing a piece. Rook c6, Knight f7 takes. It's just over.
Yeah, it is.
A fancy schmancy combination coming here, but in the end, it's just a complicated way to go down a piece. One of my favorite things to do. Go down a piece. There you go. So. Bacro is going to win this game. Let's see what's happening. We assume Ben Feingold took down Gozali. Indeed, he did, which means officially the scoreboard has just been updated. The Bishops take the match, even with a game going. So, wow, exciting stuff today, right? This has been really phenomenal. Let's check in on some of the there's some other top grandmasters still in action, although we're bringing these main matches to a close. We also have, actually, no, these are the only 2 current Pro Chess League games going. So after this, we will have a small break, and I believe you and I will be checking out, Anna. We'll be handing things off to the next commentary team.
Yes, indeed. I think we deserve a break as well. But until there are games, I think we should hang out here. And also, I see Hikaru asking, why is there a -0.5 point for one of the teams that will be playing soon? And that was the case also for the Mumbai Movers, so they can get a penalty for either submitting the lineup too late or making last-minute changes.
That's right. Yep. That's part of the requirements of the management teams, is to make sure that they are on top of the lineups. It's also unfair to the other team, because once the lineups become public and people are doing preparation, if you change the lineup, well, then it's a little bit unfair to the other team. So there are penalties in place for those types of things to make sure everybody is playing fairly. All right, well, this has been fun to see DeGrave try to defend this, but Rosensalsa really a big hero of the day, taking down Maxime Vachier-Lagrave in the first game. Huge upset. Not every day you get to beat the number 5 player in the world, and then playing great chess from there on out. So he really led the Archbishops along with Wesley So's perfect 4-0 to the victory today.
Yeah, and also we saw some great games by underdogs like Amon Hambleton playing against Magnus Carlsen, actually taking the initiative with the black pieces. Also, Eric Hansen is in great shape today, and he won the match for the ChessBrahs. Yeah,
no, great points. Those are 2 good things to highlight there. Hansen coming down to the wire there with Hammer. If you missed that, you missed a big one. But these standings will be updated soon. Today is an interdivisional matchup, but what you see here with the victories that we covered today, the Sopranos lose, so they are now 3-2. The ChessBrahs win, jumping up to first place, depending on what happens with the Inventors of the Atlantic Division. So big win there for them. The Gnomes, we'll get to that in a second, right here. The Gnomes, all the way at the bottom here. The Gnomes are 2-2. They are now 2-3. So one of the best things about the format of the Pro Chess League is that these teams are all given an opportunity to fight for their chance to stay alive. So the Gnomes are not mathematically eliminated as long as they continue to win from here on out. But with the playoffs starting next week, you start to see elimination matchups where teams really are fighting for their playoff lives. And we start to get down to just the final teams remaining. So the big matches we covered, the Gnomes lost. But the Archbishops, if we go see them, they are also moving to 4-1. So the Bishops and the Brahs, Anna, seem to be headed toward the top of their standings, a date with Destiny maybe in the finals. And where's the Delhi Dynamite? The Delhi Dynamite, are the
They
only.
are the top leader of the Eastern Division with 4.5.
Yeah, they took down, as everyone saw, they really destroyed the New York Knights. So the Delhi Dynamite are on a roll. The only undefeated team coming in today, for the record, is the San Diego Surfers. So they are the last remaining perfect team. They will play later this evening. Make sure you don't go anywhere. Check out International Master David Pruis and Grandmaster Dejan Boykov. Anna, I think we did our duty here for today. There are no games currently active, and we covered everything. We'll let everybody see the scoreboard as we sort of check out for this evening. But any final words before we let people take a quick break? Get your popcorn, get your Cheetos, and then watch David and Dayon.
I think it was just a great day. It is still a great day, but it has been 4 hours of excitement. Two of the world's best players debuting today, Magnus Carlsen and Fabiano Caruana, as well as Wesley So and Maxime Vachier playing. They played already several times for their teams. Those two matches were huge. The Montreal ChessBrahs taking on the Norway Gnomes, winning their match, and also the St. Louis Archbishops beating the Marseille Migraines. So I think we saw some brilliant games. Some mistakes, some blunders as well, but that's what makes it so exciting. And the chat and our community is very active, very nice people here. So thank you guys for being here.
They're being nice to you. It must be because you're engaging with them. Whenever I read the chat,
they're really
it's usually
being nice. So
all right, good. I'm glad they're
very
being
happy
nice,
with
so.
our community.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. Seriously, please subscribe right now on Twitch and go play Guess the Move. Guess the Move as the top grandmasters in this evening's rounds play, and have some fun with that. So Anna, thank you for co-hosting with me.
And also congratulations on your debut.
My debut. It was a lot of fun. And excited to see several of these big matches to come down to the wire. We will sign off now. Wish everybody the best of luck. Have a fun Saturday with the rest of your day. And Anna will see you next Wednesday, back with her regular co-host, Lawrence Trent. I will be back in the world of typing emails and troubleshooting Bughouse bugs. But Anna will have fun, and we'll see everybody later. Maybe we'll rejoin in the playoffs at some point here.
We
but
hope
peace
we'll
out,
be
everybody.
back, Danny.
Thanks, everybody.